I've just been double checking since the last time one of these shows happened, and it was a full month ago. So bear with me if it's a little bit slow. I don't even know if I've hit the go live button properly, but yeah, we're going to double check. Make sure. Yeah, well, it looks like we're live. That's good. Okay, awesome. Welcome, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 32 of Wrist Chart Week. No, I'm not on the screen because that's going to happen in winter, I think. I'm going to save up a bit more money towards a webcam and lighting, and then we'll make it a proper thing. At the moment, we're going to keep it, the good old-fashioned way. We've done 30 episodes of this by now. We're kind of used to the format, I think. Right, so let's get started by saying hi to you, and then we can. It's going to be a good show. Yassina Ferion, Ben, Reserve Commander, welcome from Oxfordshire. Watch by Design, hi Curtis. Sean, William Rizzo, Underachieving, Mark, hi Megan, Lawrence, Ben, Dylan, welcome. Eric, Javier, Ingleby Boy, Jao, Valeria, so many of you. It's fantastic to see you. Welcome to the show. I want to get started before even getting into the presentation. I want to do a bit of housekeeping to get the ball rolling. First off, I know most of you probably been following the news of what's been going on, but our man, Blue Shirt Buddha, has been going through quite a lot at the moment, and a GoFundMe was set up. It's been a hell of a success. 15,000 has been raised already, and any donation towards this cause would be fantastic. I've left the link at the top of the screen and in the live chat. So if you are watching currently live, you'll see it there. After the show, I will be putting it in the comments. But really, from $5 to 500, whatever you have to spare, I think it's going towards a good cause. And Bruce definitely needs it. He needs all the help he can get at the moment. Hopefully he's watching in. If he is watching the show, hi from this side of the world, Bruce. And I hope you enjoy the discussion. I don't know what we're going to chat about, but it's always fun, right? It's always going to be good fun. Bit of a different segue after this is the channel's had a bit of a change, a bit of a shift. My face is now on camera. There are now 3 videos on the page, the 3 most recent ones where I do design talks and all that stuff. So the first one is about the Omega Speedmaster, the chronoscope, which was a peculiar release, to say the least. I did a bit of a redesign, so I will link that in the corner of the screen as an after show effect. I do love the dial. It's one thing I really do enjoy is the dial has been done very well, but then case feels too modern for the watch. So that was a good talk. And then just Thursday, day before, did one on a micro brand, Baltic, the Aquascaf, the new MR01, and this was another good time. I'm fascinated by how they addressed the dress watch in their zone. And you might be noticing that there are some mirror images here, and this is completely wrong. This was done last minute. You can see that. This is why, the thing is, the thumbnails and videos are generally this big, so you never see them. So, seeing it up close in high definition is a bit of a problem. Anyway, again, just to repeat it, if you can follow the link to the GoFundMe to help support Blue Shirt, I think it's an excellent cause. It's well worth putting your time and effort into it. Anyway, I'll be sure to promote it as the show goes, and I'll get into the chat in a moment. Let me just get out of this, and I hope the computer bears with me. Right. What should I bring up next? Okay, let's have a look at this for a moment while I address the chat. Should I? I think so. We're going to chat about this very quickly and the theme of the show, and I'll just leave this running while we do so. That looks pretty good. Right, let's get in. I can see the comments coming in. That's great. Can I send my wrist chart on Instagram? Jao, I would appreciate it if you sent it through email. Instagram, DMs, when it comes to social in general, I'm useless. I can't do it. And also the quality gets compressed, I think, a bit. Through emails, it's normally pretty direct. My email is in the description of this video if you would like to send something through. If I've missed your submissions for the show, I will be sure to share it the next show. As we do, repeating again and again. I see Dylan again, Javier, Neferion again. Let's see what else is going on. I can't read the comments. If you want to get my attention, comment 1 in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. I think that's a good start, right? Comment 1 in the chat. I think that's what we used to do back in the day. Right, so we're going to chat about these watches very quickly. Trying to balance watching this F1 qualification at the same time. Bloody difficult. Yeah, Andreas, right? I haven't been looking at that lately, but it sounds like Verstappen and Hamilton are having a good go at each other. So you can hear me. That's great. Carl and Jizzy Ninja and Hans, ID Guns. You guys are the worst. I appreciate it. I got to say, I mean, that whole time, that reveal video was I just can't thank you enough for the positive support. It was just so humbling. The feedback was great, and I love the jabs. You've got to keep them coming. So it's going to be a thing. I think it's going to be a continual thing. It's been a minute, right? It's been a full month since we've done one of these shows, but the selection this week is great. And, the theme around what watch do we value most? Should I quickly talk about this? Because this is the cover photo watch, and I think, it's very special for what it is. It's a Lange Tourbillon, which you don't see very often, but what makes it even more special is it's the Pour le Merite, which is technically one of the first watches that Lange ever made in the 90s before they came back to power, prior to the Lange 1 being the cornerstone piece that defined the modern brand. Yeah, so last to chat, yeah, ID guns. I know I've heard them all. I deadlift guy, ID guns, right? It's the camera. I'm telling you, it's the camera and it's Photoshop. Camera adds 20 pounds. Don't believe what everyone says. Okay, so just a quick run through of this watch, the cover photo piece. I can give you a brief discussion. This is like super watchmaking, so I'm probably going to butcher a lot of this, but we're going to chat about it more through the show. This comes in from Russell. He waited over a year for this piece. There are only 200 of these in the world, a handful in yellow gold, platinum, white gold, steel, and rose gold. And, the story behind it was that it was quite the technological complication to create this because it's a fusee chain. So, it needed all kinds of expertise to come together and make it. And the end result is that we have watchmakers like Papi and Renaud and the Gronefeld brothers, and who else? I think Grubel. Grubel was involved in this too. So about 12 different watchmakers had to come together to make this watch a reality. And it's just it's a charmer. It looks like your typical Lange, but has a lot of X factors to it. Like you see where the balance is in the middle, where the tourbillon is based. You notice it's not a ruby, it's a diamond. They found that a diamond on either end was much better because obviously it wouldn't degrade as well. It's very robust and all of that. Yeah, coffee you can hear is getting to my brain, so it's going to take a little while. What I can do is also put the back of the watch up, which is also pretty cool. Let's see if I can do that without butchering it. Okay, and full screen this, and somehow try and get it so that you can see what's going on. Fit to screen. The issue is it's not going to cover. This is as good as it gets, I'm afraid, but you get the gist of this piece. It's amazing. Fusee and chain. It's nothing to ever bash. And what I also like to see is when we look to the actual bridges on the, that's not me, that's the camera moving, the bridges to the back of the watch, you can see how the rotational work was done. This is a very old school way of case finishing. And then, of course, the hand engraving on the balance cock and everything there. It's a real work of art. It's quite a crowning achievement. Camera doesn't add 20 pounds. Carry on. Camera doesn't add 20 pounds. ID guy does. That's the worst. Tourbillon and Zero would work. Dirigier work in space. Forbin. We chat a lot about the redundancy of the tourbillon today and how it counteracts gravity and all this stuff. And only, I believe, Grubel Forsley does it correctly, where it's at 30 degrees, I think. And technically, that's how it should be done, not flat. Okay, I've got to get to the chat. I'm going to move away from this eventually because it's going to be quite a big show. Yusuf, thank you for the super chat. I can't wait. For all of us out there who love the Explorer 2, the original Explorer 2, it's going to be so fun to talk about it. Thank you, Yusuf. Let's see what else is going on. I'm sorry that I'm missing you here. The Chidge and Forbin and so many more of you are missing. Hope all is well. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I still can't believe it's been a full month. It's been a great break, a great time away from the page. Just, rethinking and restructuring the platform and all this stuff. Okay, let's get into it. So we have quite a selection of bits and pieces to talk about. Now I'm going to try and get this right without butchering it every single time I get it wrong. I'm kind of looking forward to getting the webcam scenario sorted out. It's all going to be done, and it's going to be a good process. I've just noticed that StreamYard had this whole new interface change where you can leave the little thumbnail of your face at the bottom of the screen, so it's not going to interfere with the presentation like this. So that's going to be good. And is this scroll bar going to move away? I hope it does. Yes, it does. It's good. Right, get back into the chat. Father Artifact. Have the Macallan ready. Good on you. Okay, so Aberfeldy 12. What an excellent whiskey. What an excellent whiskey. This is what I'm having. I'm having a drop today, like barely nothing. I've decided I'm not going to go with booze this evening. I'm going to keep it kind of clean. This is some good stuff. Would highly recommend. Made in Perthshire. Funny enough, it's actually the birth town of my granddad. So there's a bit of family background, I guess. But it's just solid. It's a 12-year-old, 40% clean and clear, only held in oak, no other additives, no sherry finish, nothing. It's just what you would expect. Honey, nice honey notes, easy, smooth to drink. Would highly recommend. Very, very good for what it is. Grey market adds 5,000 pounds. Oh my God. Time distortion. Thanks for that, Forbin. Okay. So Hans is already predicting it's going to be 1:45. So 1:45 in the morning when the show ends. That's bold. Anyone see the new Debatoon on Watchbox? I did. I think I did. I saw a shot of Tim on Instagram with it in hand doing a chat. Great looking watches. Great looking watches. I think I've said hi to Eric already. I don't know. And Daniel, welcome, and Andre and Aberfeldy, good shot. Very good. It's a very decent whiskey. What I love, by the way, I don't know if many of you know this, if you get right into the bottle, the casing, this looks like it's been done as a lino cut. You notice these lines. This is either done with a very fine quill, a very fine pen, or lino with a little cutting tool. That's how you get that flare on the sky. This is how they used to do illustrations back in the day, and it's just the presentation alone is something else. And then we move to the watch, which is quite the outstanding thing. RS65 is a watch I've owned now for over a year in the collection, and I'll pull it up here. I've connected with the watch. I love the bizarreness, but it just never got the same amount of wear time that it has now. And it's not a shameless plug. I picked this strap up from Vintage, what's it, not Vintage Watch Company? Yeah, Kota and Vintage Watch Company. They did a partnership. Holy smokes, this watch just changes completely all of a sudden. I've been wearing it the most out of everything in the collection, and it's just a strap change. I have this belief, there's this deep-seated problem with me where once I get a watch, I'm on the hunt to find the perfect watch strap for it. And I believe that there is a point that you get to where the watch strap just cleans it up, just changes the whole dynamic of what the watch is like. And this, to me, is the ideal combination. So, yeah, this has been a charmer to wear. It's such a nice little watch. Okay. I also think something to mention is that this show, though there are going to be lots of heavy hitters, we're talking Pateks, APs, Langes, everything in between. Also some special stories about grandfather's watches being handed down. The whole theme about what watch do you value the most, it's got nothing to do with price at the end of the day. It has to do with what it means to you as an owner. And it was one of those points of interest. You know, we do these introspective things on the show all the time. And this one just came to me, I think, on Monday. I was exercising in the rain and thought, no, that'd be a good show. Something about thinking more about what you're doing as a collector and why do you love a specific watch. Ziraha's joining with Glenmorangie. Awesome. Is that the original? Glenmorangie 10 is a dream. One of my favorites. Such an underrated. I wouldn't say underrated, but amazing. May I suggest a drafting table for your full face vids? Do designers use such draft boards? Yes, I did when I was studying and through that whole time. But sadly, today, drafting by hand is a lost art. I'll talk about that in a moment. Good point there. Perthshire is amazing. You should check out places like Pitlochry. We could talk about Scotland for days. It's so good. It starts with a drop. It always does. Daniel always does. The show always begins with what I'm drinking, just so you know how plastered I will be throughout the show. And I see Mark P has just joined us. Welcome, Mark. And I got myself a bottle of Glenlivet Caribbean. Caribbean Reserve's good, yeah, Eric. It's great scotch. I'm like the value guy because this isn't expensive whiskey, all things considered. These are pretty, I know you put that in air quotes, entry-level whiskeys, but you can get some great value out of these. They don't have to be expensive like the watches. You can get a lot of value out of them. Okay, so talking about drafting boards, right, let's just get my watches out of the way. First off, I think it's quite typical now. The watch I value most is this for obvious reasons. I've had this now for over a year, Seamaster 57. I wear it over the weekends mainly. I keep it like a special moment to enjoy. And it's just the everything. It's one of those timeless classics. It's underrated. It's not what everyone looks at or goes after, which I really like. Size is good. It's the original dive watch from Omega. I mean, you can't get better than that. I've got this thing in the back of my mind where I love an original of something. That's the design. The design person in me just loves the originals. And this one is just, it's a dream. You can enjoy seeing my pasty wrist for a second as I get back into the chat. And we can talk a little bit more about the Pour le Merite before starting the presentation official. Photos of the guns. Yeah, Megan, I love it. You guys are the best. Yeah, so Rasmus saying, glad to have you back. Also a nice face to the voice. I can't thank you enough for the feedback, really. It was by no, what's funny is that it wasn't daunting. The exercise wasn't daunting at all to do, to just sit down with a camera and record and talk. And I've done what, like 6 videos now, I think. I'm feeling a lot more confident with the process and the presenting. Just makes it a little bit more engaging. And I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day. You know, that's what keeps everyone, you know, involved through the process. Hans saying bold E. Oh, that Eric and Hans are talking about the runtime of the show. Poptastic NATO ID guns. I don't know what's going on in the chat. You guys can't be, you have to be sober still. Yeah, so the 57, it's a dream. I need to do a video about this after a year and that whole experience. But this is still the most expensive watch I own in the collection. But again, it shouldn't be price dependent. The watch that you value most should be the one that has meaning and story and, you know, narrative to it. And there's lots about this watch that, you know, it's guided me. It's one that I yearned for 3 years at least before pulling the trigger. And yeah, it's just everything and more, I think, at the end of the day. The real question is, do you have a watch tan? I don't, Caleb. I make sure to take, you've got to take your watches off when you're in the sun. You can't have a watch tan. It's the worst because then you can't get rid of them. And then for months on end, you just stare at this blank piece of skin and you think, what's going on? Blue Shirt has joined us. Welcome, Blue Shirt. Fantastic having you here. Please just sit back, enjoy the chat. There's some beautiful watches on display. And I want to ask you all about your preferences about what watches you value and how do you classify it. Of course, not every watch you're going to be seeing on the show is following that theme, but there is quite I would say the majority of the submissions that we're going to see are going to be there. Again, Blue Shirt, Bruce, I really hope you're doing well. And I hope everyone follows the support page. Please follow the link. That's for such a good cause. It's well worth it. Turbo T2 and so many more of you. If I keep addressing the chat, it's going to take all night to get through. It is 10 p.m. in the UK where I am at the moment. Okay, let's get through the Paula Merite once again. The reason why I'm sharing this first is because it was the cover photo, and yeah, Russell and I have been chatting about this watch for a long time. Due to what's been going on in the world, he's had to wait over a year for it, and finally getting it was quite the cathartic moment. And this is, when we talk about Grail watches, this is like the Grail of the Grail. If you are an enthusiast who loves the epitome of a brand, I think the Paula Merite is one of those that, I mean, there's a full book written about this specific watch. It's like an encyclopedia. And I think most of us can agree that it's not a watch for everyone. It's not the most, you know, what was the best word? It's not the most outstanding, in quotations, but it's also so true to Lange's form and how they approach their watch design. So very true to the 1815 that we know today. It's in that 39 millimeter size. I think it's 39, just like we see from the Lange 1. But it's got that restraint that we now know is a part of the brand, and it's what the brand's known for today. It's a 36-hour power reserve. So this watch, you basically have to wind every day. So it's actually good to see that animated running seconds, sorry, the rundown of the power reserve on the right. Beautiful big tourbillon on display. So getting back to the chat again. BDev saying, welcome BDev. My most valued watch is my Orator chronograph. It was my father's watch that he used during World War II. That's insane. Second is my grandfather's Elgin pocket watch. I think we've shared that one, BDev. There are some awesome ones. I mean, the one shot that actually made my jaw drop, you'll see it later. It's actually Evan. Evan, your watch submission made my jaw drop. It's a Breitling from the 60s, and it's coming up quite soon. So you will love it. It's like the perfect hand-me-down watch from a grandfather. Okay, getting back in. Also, absolutely love the CMOT. It's a great piece. There's actually going to be a few of them during the show. That was from Daniel. I'm sorry that I'm missing you all in the chat, everyone. It's always so busy, and I suck at keeping up. So gonna try. Please tag me, and I will see it faster. Okay, carrying on through another shot of the Paula Merite on the wrist. We're going to get through more watches like this at a later stage. Russell's watches are always saved for the end of the show anyway, so we'll be chatting around them. I think I need some water because I've been talking nonstop for 20 minutes already. Houston, we have a problem. The show's going to be long. You know, Rasmus, he's saying it's going to be good. It's going to be long. Okay, taking the water down. First up, we're jumping to Andreas. And I love this as a start. 2 years ago, Andreas was given the Steinhardt Ocean 1 39mm as a gift from his parents for his 18th birthday. This was one of my first watches too. I found a 41, was it 42 mil on eBay for like $200, ETA movement back then. And whatever we say about the homage watch space, these things are bulletproof. You can drive over this with a car, you can chuck a grenade at it, it'll last. So ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal, 300 meters screw down crown. You know that these watches can take a beating. It's got C3 Luminova, exceptional Luminova. And yeah, as far as getting the first watch, it's always a special occasion, no matter what it is. I think they did a good job making this piece 39. The 41 the 42 was a bit large. I see Owl 29 joining us. Looking forward to chatting about your piece. Thank you, Megan. The show is always, I don't know what the show ends up being. By the 3-hour mark, I'm so hammered and oxygen deprived that it becomes quite a mess. But that's when it gets really fun. No, I wish somebody had bought me watches when I was 18, right? Son, I mean, that's exactly it. My whole argument is I wish I had a watch in high school. I wish that was a thing. It didn't happen, and only got into watches when I was 21, 22. Like that's even a difference. But the younger you start in this, the better, because your knowledge base is just going to grow more and more. By the time you're in your 30s, you're going to have 5, 6, 10 killer pieces. So Reserve Commander saying, any plans for a UK-based watch enthusiast get-together once it's safe to do so? Yes, I mean, it's a great idea. It really is. We could do a proper meetup somewhere, whether in London or Brighton or whatever's closest. It's a great idea. I'm sure it would be a lot of fun for us. The thing is, though, it would have to be something that's a bit more exclusive, like an invite-only thing, to make it a bit more accessible and to make sure that we all know each other, especially if we're bringing crazy watches to meetups. That's the only thing you need to factor in. It's why Red Bar Group is always invite only and all that stuff. But great call, Reserve Commander. I think it's well worth looking into. I started collecting at 18. I would be broke now. Oh, if I started collecting, right? That's from Mr. Adjudes. I'm going to butcher your name. Okay, going to carry up. I see Neil joining us. Going to carry on through. Okay, so Andreas, I love this. Great way to start. As your first watch, I'm sure it's not going to go anywhere. And the story too, it's going to be fantastic. Keep on learning. Keep on studying. Set your sights for a watch for the next 2 years and think long and hard about what you would like it to be. It's a great time. The hunt is always the most amount of fun. Okay. Now this one from Blaine, next up. We actually jumped to B already. Can you believe it? I like this story. Blaine, this is Blaine T. Now, Blaine's had a bit of a reputation. The Blaines, I should say, have had a bit of a reputation on this page because we have so many of them. And, he's been considered a unit of measure at this stage. Like there was chat about it in one comment, I think, that there is a Blaine unit of measure that we now use on this page. And many other things. It's a unit for weight, so many other factors. So this is from Blaine T, also known as Insta Blaine, who we see quite often in the chat. I don't know if he's with us now. And Demetrius is joining us. I had to go to my office early Sunday morning. What are you doing? GMT +2 here, of course, because you're in Greece, right, Demetrius? Or is this another Demetrius? I swear we're going to have a Demetrius unit of measure now too. Right. This story I love. So the Seamaster No Time to Die, of course, what's happened now with the James Bond screening and everyone's seen the film, and this watch came out prematurely before the world went into what it did. In between that time of the watch being released and the film being released, he bought, he sold, and he rebought this watch. So he has had that full, effect, that experience with the piece, and now has connected with it. It's that stage of, sometimes you're too close to something to appreciate. Geez, this is getting philosophical. Sometimes you're too close to something to see its value at face value, and you need that time of breathing, right? And in this case, he has had that break, that time away. Philosophical, what did I say? Unit of value. I offered to buy one for 3.7 Blaines. Oh my God, it started already. I'm going to drink some whiskey now. So it's a cool watch, and I'm saying so very often, so I will stop. On the leather strap, it's awesome. I think he's got a shot of it. Rainy California. He said this was a shot that he sent in saying it happens so very unoften, so he decided to send this through. And yeah, I just love the story that he's bought, sold, rebought the watch, and it's now officially in the collection. He has agreed that this is worth staying there. Yeah, love it, love it. I still haven't seen the film either, Uran Sun, but yeah, it sounds pretty interesting. The channel should be called ID Blaine. Zhao, why not? Why not? We've got to have a Blaine rating. Maybe there can be like a rating system during the show. Okay, Aberfeldy going down. Now, before getting these latest videos up on the page, over the period of a month that I took off from the channel, I sat down and did a whole load of separate recordings about green sports watches, which I'm going to redo, and also this particular watch, the No Time to Die. And it was this whole, I did a redesign of it. So much fun redesigning the Seamaster Professional, giving it a bit of a fresh look. Oh, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to re-record the video and get that out as soon as possible, because that was lots of fun. The problem with it was that the video recording just didn't work. It didn't look good. It was horrendous. We end up being sticklers for those kinds of things. So now that's another factor to play a part in the process. But it was basically an analysis of the professional line, and particularly this one. And some tiny little improvements made such a difference to the overall look of this. Last shot of this at an angle. I think the full titanium case is amazing. Also on the leather strap works nicely. There are a handful of you out there who have this watch and you love it for many reasons. And it makes sense. Really works well. The military insignia is the best part. Spy's watch, especially a British spy. You don't want the world to know that you're a British spy, right? But then you get captured, and this insignia is so well recognized today that anyone will know it's from the Ministry of Defense. So mission over, mission failed already. Just having this call sign on the watch, I love that part. It's just so on the nose and great. I don't think the Bond universe thought that one through, but I just love it. It's so kitsch and fun. Right, so Megan's talking about the film. Eric's saying believable. I need Blaine's watch. Rasmus says, don't we all? Don't we all? Do you think the new Bond will get a new watch brand? Would be refreshing, don't you think? Orenson says, good point. God, where could they go? I do love the Omega partnership. The thing is, money talks at the end of the day, right? And what they have managed to do over this 20 plus year period it's amazing what it's done for the brand of Omega. And it's one of those partnerships now that I think Omega would just pay whatever fee to get their watches in the film, because it's kind of instrumental to the brand, especially the Seamaster. The Seamaster, as it is now, wouldn't be recognized the way it is if it wasn't for the Bond franchise. I don't believe the professional line alone was basically the foundation of it was built on James Bond. So no, there's something tells me that the Omega partnership's going to stay for a little while. But who knows if someone comes in as a higher bidder, Tag Heuer comes in. I don't know. Breitling would make a very good. I would love to see Breitling and then Bentley as the partnership. That would be very cool because James Bond originally drove Bremont. Yeah, Eric. Bremont could step in. Yeah, James Bond originally drove a Bentley, and that was a really nice little pairing. Carrying on. So Neil, thank you for the super chat again. Before considering the super chats tonight, please follow the link at the top of the chat and support Blue Shirt Buddha at the moment. I think that's way more important. I greatly appreciate the chats. I wish I could directly send what you're sending to me to him, but YouTube takes 30% directly from the chat, and then that'll be another 30% of my payout that I'll be having to send over to it. So it's not a direct, it's very irritating. It's not a direct comparison when it comes to sharing the amount that comes in. So please, before even considering, send the money over to Bruce. I think it's a much better cause at the moment. Neil, thank you so much. So much. I think having an English accent may be a bigger stumbling block. Yeah. So Megan says, love the new 007 watch. Feels like a toy on the wrist because it's so light, of course. Yeah, titanium. Titanium's the way. Speaking of titanium, next week I'm chatting about the Yachtmaster titanium. That was a lot of fun. Shout out for JJ's birthday. It was Junior Johnson's birthday this week. Is he in the chat? Junior, if you are watching us, the show's been going for half an hour already. I can't believe it. Happy birthday for today. Another happy year. Another, year around the sun, as they say. Oh, great. Pure class, as Hans says. Next James Bond will drive a Mini and wear a Swatch. That's not bad. That's not a bad comparison. Those Mini Coopers, they're awesome cars. Again, happy birthday, Junior. I hope you can hop in and we can say hi to you during the show. Okay, from Blaine. This is the last Blaine submission. We are jumping to our man, Cedar Canoe. I think he's in the chat. I think he's here with us. So this is a great piece, one of his most valued watches. I think it was World War II Marvin. I received from a great personal friend when I visited him in Vienna 3 years ago. And we love our military watches. I mean, it's this connection that we all have with pieces out there. It's just great. You know, the manual winding, these have radium, so they're a bit unsafe. Radium is a crazy isotope. It's insane how violent it is. Even today, like 50, 60 years later, it's going to have such a long half-life. So yeah, be careful with radium on your watches. But I love it. You know, just a clean, simple, basic layout, running seconds. You can imagine this is a watch that would be issued back in the day. Oops, magic mouse. All the tech around me is failing. It's not funny. Like my keyboard is completely jammed up. The laptop, I think I'm going to call her like MacBertha now. She's a 2011 MacBook Pro. She's a trooper. She's the real MVP of everything, of this page, basically. She takes so much abuse and still keeps on running. It's just everything's wrong with her. Like the web browser isn't even supported on her anymore, but she still keeps going. You know, she doesn't care. Which car does the Blaine's drive in? I don't know. We should ask him if the Blaine is on, if the Blaine's around. I saw Neo dropping in. Hi, Neo. Great to have you here. The show might bend space and time. It could easily, Eric. You never know your luck in the big city. Junior Johnson's in the chat. 68 on the 21st. That's amazing. Good innings there, Junior. A couple more years and you'll hit the big 7-0. Wow. Congratulations, sir. Yeah, and Cedar Canoe, when it comes to vintage, he does. I mean, the last show, he had Nevada Gretchens and all sorts. That was amazing. Such a good time. And Tao saying, nice to see many familiar names in the chat. Awesome. It's great to have you here, Tao, as always. I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show, but we have a special Lange on display. Yeah, that's awesome. It's just awesome. Okay, we're going to carry on through now. Cedar Canoe, thank you for this. We love sharing your watches. You always have great taste. And I kind of pre-gamed it a bit, but the next watch, this comes in from Charlie's Watches, and last time we featured him, he said to me in the email that he just arrived from he was going to the London Watch Show, and that shot was him going through, I think it was Piccadilly, if I remember right, and all that light show in the background, and he was wearing a JLC Master Control with the moon phase. I'll never remember the reference, but it's that one, the Master Control JLC. If you haven't seen the last show, I'll link it in the corner of the screen now. 35 minutes into this one, but he's wearing the Batgirl, and what a watch it is. This piece, I think there are like 3 Batgirls on the show today, for good reasons. I think it's one of the best modern GMTs that money can buy at the moment. Okay, and carrying on through again. Happy birthday, Junior. Turbo, thank you so much for the call out. Support a blue shirt. Of course. Yeah, because I've been off the air so long, all I have been able to do is share this page, the GoFundMe page on the most recent videos, the 3 most recent videos. I've left it at the top. I've pinned it there. But again, top of the chat, if you have arrived late, top of the chat, follow the link, go and support our man. He is very deserving of the support at the moment. Great, Turbo, you just donated. That's fantastic. Really fantastic. So Nia's saying, I'm working too much doing yard work now, so I'll just be listening. All good, Nia. Yeah, we've all been there. I forget that it's a different time zone where you all are in the world. It's like bright sunlight somewhere and it's pitch dark this side. Yeah, so what else can you say about the Batgirl? I think the proportions are just spot on. They just nailed it. Optimal in every regard. And then it's that whole factor that it's more of a dressy GMT, but you have all the values of a very functional tool watch. You can use that GMT bezel as a timing bezel, 4 different time zones at the same time. Lots of little things to add. I love it. Great shot as well. You're taking great pictures there, Charlie. This whole blur at the background, what's it called? Bokeh, is that the name? The back there looks amazing. I love it. It's great to be back. I've missed Wrist Shot Week. The nice thing is these delays just allow for us to appreciate the shows when they do happen a bit more. So Hans saying prefer 5 digits. Nothing wrong there. We're going to have a look at a couple, I think, later on. Yeah, these modern ones, they've gone all over the place. I really look forward to talking about that Yachtmaster next week, because while all the other watches, the GMTs, the subs, have been fattened up with their lugs and brought down and now pushed to 41 mils, the Yachtmaster has stayed the same. You know, the case hasn't changed very much. It's been bumped to 42 mils, but the lugs haven't tapered or anything. And with this new titanium prototype that's going on, it's like one of the most low key, tool sports watch releases that we've seen in a long time. So yeah, I look forward to chatting about that. And Carrying Jubilee is a winner. It's awesome. Turkey Vulture, good to have you here. It's been a long time. I don't think I've seen you in a while. It's great to have you. Okay, carrying on through. Charlie, thank you for this. To Dan next. Now, when I was just previewing these pieces before the show started, I thought for a second your hour hand has lost its loom plot. And I thought, what is going on here? That's the running seconds. I got a big fright thinking, oh, have I just picked up a real problem with this watch? So this is, okay, I'm probably going to butcher it. I think it's the 15400, judging by the size. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the 300. I can't get it right. AP reference numbers. I mean, the chronographs are even worse. The numbers themselves, it's like 1540.00.12.865. It's nuts. You can't keep track. But we have the traditional Navy dial running seconds. I love the fact that they've matched that date window with the dial itself. Just a solid watch. Unfortunately, Royal Oaks today are just 15. You're kidding me, right, Julian? It's a 15500. How do you even know that? Like, what? How? What? How? Like, I don't get it. It looks like a 15.4. I don't like ask questions anymore. I just accept. So I will say yes. It's a 15500, Julian. Thank you. You fixed it. I just don't know how you can tell the differences with these pieces now. It's just they're so similar. It's like, matching, hitting the whiskey again. So Bjornar says, wife just fell asleep only about half an hour late. It's all good having you here, Bjornar. It's great to have you back. Sixth sense, Caleb, right? You need a sixth sense to understand this watch. I would never have been able to tell you that this was a 400, 500, 300. I know it's not a 15202, but beside the point. Hitting the whiskey. So the ideal layout of this watch, quite divisive on what we prefer. If we prefer the central seconds, if we prefer having the AP logo at the base of the dial instead of at the 12. So Julian says it doesn't have the automatic on the dial. Ah, got you. Good eye there. Very good eye. I mean, we have vintage watch lovers here who know their stuff, and we also have modern high-end watch lovers here who love the stuff. Julian, you're on point as always. Thank you so much for that. 15500. Got it. Date window, Mark says. Date window looks good. Is that another telltale sign? There's no like loom plot by the date window. I don't even know anymore. Great looking watch. Also, just excellent presence. It's just such a pity that these pieces are now unobtainable, in this world. I see dead movements. Is that Shyamalan movie called again? That's from Hans. Okay, carrying on through. So Dan sent a few more. This is a dream. So this is I'm not even going to try, but he did say that he's waiting for the rose gold bracelet to come with it. At the moment, there's this delay between getting the watch and getting a bracelet. I don't understand how that works. But these brands with their trickery, who knows? On the rubber, it looks amazing. We have, rose gold and navy blue. How can you not like it? It's a lot more casual and understated as this combo goes. Now, when it comes to getting links for APs, I've heard some horror stories. I think they are the most infamous in this zone when it comes to adding links to your watch. It's like $1,000 per link. And if it's in gold, Lord help you, it's even worse. So yeah, something to pay attention to. Please do not undersize your watches out there. Be sure to get more links, get extra links if you have to, and then sell them. Sell the extra links. Don't undersize, because you'll be paying a pretty penny getting extras. What an awesome shot too. I was struggling with coming up with a cover photo for the show, because the photos have been amazing. Such good ones. And of course, some of the emails were like 38 megabytes in size, as you would expect. Carrying on through, Sixth Sense reference. That is it. I see Dear Artifact joining us. I did see Father Artifact a second ago, but I don't know where you are now. Heavy hitters coming in. There are some goodies, some real goodies, but don't worry. We're also going to come back down to earth with some great pieces too. And what I love about these shows, it's a full-on roulette wheel. Just notice something here, which I've found pretty cool. This is just looking at the 5K. monitor, the brushing, the vertical brushing on the case. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but squint your eyes. The vertical brushing at the top of the case, and then you see the brushing on all the different parts, on the crown guards. On the crown, it's in a different direction. The actual pushers is in a different direction. And the one gripe I have with these modern models is that these don't screw down. The elements of the pushers don't screw down anymore, which was something they did in the previous generations. I don't know the reference, the 53.69.87. I'll never. But these ones are just here for show, which kind of sucks, because you look at the way the nut is, right? We're getting really technical here. The nut and the screw, the way it's arranged, gives you this impression that it does turn. Even though these are fixed, these do not turn, but they do look like they turn. Similar with the crown, this does turn. It looks like a nut. This is the one part of the watch that you would expect does turn, but yeah, it doesn't. It's just for display, which bums me out a little bit. I would be angry. I would be sure to get some threading on my crown pushers given the chance. And another shot of this face forward. We can see it in more detail. Oh, it's a beautiful combo. It's just amazing. Dan, this is... What I like is that he has the standard Royal Oak, he has the chrono, and then he has an offshore. That's like his three-piece set. Father Artifact is in the chat. That's fantastic. Father and son here. It's great. Luke, I didn't say hi to you in the beginning, Luke, from Montana. You're a legend. Great to have you here. I think I saved your watches. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. I did miss out a few before the show started, but they'll be carried over. So don't worry. Neil's saying lovely watches. There's some really good pieces. I can't get over it. Everything. And don't worry, we're going to get to our, Citizen Divers and Grand Seikos and Tudors and all of that as well. But an amazing lineup. And I do love the fact that we're already on D, and the show's been going now for almost 45 minutes. So yeah, pretty consistent for once. Carrying on in the chat that I'm missing. I see Shazbot joining us. Welcome. And let's carry on through. Look at these colors. I'll zoom right in and get a closer look at the dial. This was actually I think this was the first Royal Oak I ever tried on, believe it or not. The yellow gold navy blue dial boutique edition in the AP boutique. This was back in the day. I don't know if you can do that anymore, but this was the first time I experienced this watch. Full bracelet as well. I can't remember the reference, as you know. Yeah, I can say I've been very fortunate experiencing a lot of these watches in hand. They are AP bracelets. It's as good as you get. You just can't compare it to other pieces. As great as Rolex bracelets are, and they get such a good reputation, the AP bracelets, it's something else. It is something else. I just love what I love so much about these models in particular. I know that the Genta designs do get a lot of flack for being just your typical 70s watch with integrated bracelet. This is the OG. This one started the trend. This is what really got the craze going. But I just love that the designers who were responsible for the chrono kept it entirely consistent. The way the crown and the pushers all work very nicely, even the way the crown guards integrate around the case, it all makes perfect sense. There is nothing that stands out and is jarring in the presentation, which makes it such an ideal piece. It's one of the best designed chronos in the horology space, I think, especially in the Genta arena. I mean, we think about the Nautilus in comparison. The Nautilus chrono doesn't hold a candle to this when we look at how just clean and well thought through this final result is. BB gave me a shot. Hold on. Did he really? Is Bruce? There he is. Yeah, he is. There he is. Hi, Blue Shirt. sorry, didn't see you. I'm stumbling with the chat today. I really am stumbling. So I still hope you're all hearing me loud and clear. Urin Sun saying 3.5 hours. I don't know. That's a brave statement. I couldn't tell you. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I really don't know Anyway, this next one, another offshore. I'm going to call it the offshore navy, but it is the modern variant because I'm looking at the hands. They do seem a bit different. The hands have that modern, cricket bat style look to them. I can't date these watches. The thing is, when you see these watches that you can't actually physically get yourself, it's kind of a turn off, and you don't necessarily study up on them too much. So I'm a bit of a problem child in that arena. I do love how they have integrated those pushers into the sides of the case, though. Looks like someone went quite mad in the CAD program getting these cutouts. I mean, it looks like brake pedals, accelerator pedals, Nice little accent color on the hexagonal screw. So the offshore is really just a Royal Oak chrono on steroids. It's just been beefed up in size. But I think the movement's exactly the same. Someone can maybe correct me here. Again, hi, Blue Shirts. I hope you're still listening in, taking in whatever we're saying. 5 hours if we get guitars and dogs and photos. Oh, Julian, I think you've actually jinxed it, because there is a guitar from our man Eric, the dwarf hour hand. Yeah, I'm looking at. I think the hour hand is hidden behind the seconds. The counterbalance, again, it's in the same place. The counterbalance is in the way. Interesting piece. It's another thing. I mean, if we go back to the chrono again, sorry if I'm flicking around these a bit too much. The tapisserie on this dial makes sense because it's still a part of that Royal Oak language, the tiny tapisserie points. And then as we get bigger and bigger, so the tapisserie gets larger and larger, as well as the watch does. So once again, they're just understanding what to do with each piece. I'm trying to remember I think the offshore was introduced with the chrono at around the same time during the early 90s, mid 90s. My watch history is bad. I'm behind. I'm behind on the game. The church saying not for me. The offshore is definitely not a watch for everyone. I love that white strap combo. This is a nice pairing. But seeing the three together, you get a pretty good idea. I think this is a 42. I think it's a 42 mil offshore. They've been doing some good stuff with bringing their sizes down and up in the zone. AP and their Royal Oaks, they just hit them out of the park all the time. Whether it's the Sonories, whether it's the anniversary models, or the limited editions with emerald dials and all that, they have fun. Julian saying 93. Okay, close enough. That's close enough for all of us, I think. Talking timepieces. I wanted to send pics this week, but didn't have time. Don't worry about it. Really don't worry about it. There's always going to be another show. This is episode 32. We're still going strong, I think. I hope. Just as long as there's coffee, the show will always be happening. I see our man Jean-Claude Beaver joining us. Welcome, sir. I hope you're doing well. If you're enjoying it, it's Sunday that side of the world, and you guys are finally free to move around. So, hey, Forbin says Audemars Hublot. That sums it up well. That sums it up very well. Audemars Hublot. That's great. Guilty pleasure. Yep, that's it. Okay, carrying on. I see Clam Walker's joining us. Welcome, Clam. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Great to have you on the show. Just chat away, ladies and gents. Next up, what do we have? 5524G. I think this is the Pilot Calatrava. I'm going to take a guess. It is. Oh, this is a goodie. What I love most, and I didn't notice this until I saw it close up, is that there is a plane. I think this is a model plane. It's definitely a model plane, but I mean, I think it's either I'm pretty sure it's a model. It might be petrol powered, but I think he did this deliberately because he's wearing a Pilot. It is the Pilot Calatrava, right? I think it falls under the Calatrava line. This is one of my favorites. We have a few in the chat at the moment who are very keen on getting one of these watches into their collection. I've been asking my thoughts about it, and yes, you get my full nod for getting a watch like this. It's the travel time, of course. It's the Pilot travel time. It's amazing. It's such a cool watch. It just ticks the big eye, all the big eye boxes that I love. The numerals, it's very like early 1900s, 1920s styled. It's slightly oversized. It has all the functionality you would like. It's also pretty casual, subtle. So Clam saying the replays have kept Lucian busy during home improvements. Oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, the replays of the show are important, I think. You can't ever take it all in at once. My favorite, I get feedback sometimes where people say that they put the video aside for a week and they watch for half an hour every day of the week. That's amazing. Like a full week's worth of live show just in half an hour increments. Makes sense because these shows, they do become marathons over time. So that's it. Carrying on through in the chat. What have I missed? Hidden Ghost Hour. Does it have a ghost hour? Oh, you're talking about the hand for the travel time. Yes. So this at the moment is set to its local time, and then I don't know. You'd have to push one of these pushes once or twice, I think, to get it's a white hand. I think that comes out. So as it is right now, the second hour hand is hidden behind the primary hour hand. No. Mark P saying stunning, very different. Plus, you can read the time from it in your 50s. Yeah, right. It's got that legibility, and it's just so unlike Patek. I think that's why this and the 5212 are the models that everyone's been looking at, because it's just not your your Nautilus or your perpetual calendars, it's pretty basic, understated. And you don't really say Patek Philippe and understated in the same sentence. So that's definitely the selling point with this. So Megan says it's a very cool pilot travel watch, but I'm not really a huge fan. I mean, look, none of us, I don't think many of us are driven to go after Patek. I think there are lots of other watches in this category that do offer the same thing. I mean, IWC in general. I think there was a mention about IWC in the chat. IWC as a brand in general does pilot pieces as like it's their bread and butter. So, if you're going after Patek, you look to their Calatravas, you look to their more dressy oriented pieces. But then, if you're someone who's quite the outlier, have I used the word outlier quite a lot in the show? I don't know. This is one example that definitely flies under the radar as being a Patek. And then the best part of all is that no one would ever think of it as a Patek. You could wear this in civvies. No one would even know. I like it. Looks like Moser. Moser does a great one like this, right? And Zenith. Very good points, Megan. Yeah, they do. Both of those brands play around with the typeface. Moser just brought out a burgundy dial with a similar arrangement of typeface. Shamba, thank you for the super chat, sir. I have to send more pictures for the fine. Don't worry about it. Take your time. These shows will always be happening. So just, I think for safety's sake, my email is in the description of the video at the moment, and send it as soon as possible, because then it'll always be backed up there. And when the next show comes around, I get back in and I go back through the search history and find the emails I haven't looked at. And so yours will be one of the first to save. Thank you again. And for those of you who just joined in, please consider supporting our man Blue Shirt. The link is at the top of the chat. I've pinned. He deserves a lot more money and a lot more attention with what's been going on in his world. He deserves all our support. So again, thank you everyone for thank you everyone for being a part of the shows and for sending your watches in. I mean, the show wouldn't be the same without these submissions. Okay. Going to carry on next. Daniel, I love this watch. It's a dream. To Danny next with the Seamaster 223050. I think this is one of his most valued watches too in his collection, because I think it's one of the first watches he added to the set. And we all love the 2254. It's a real gem of a piece. It's just a charmer. Really stunning example. This with the flat bezel, I think it's steel. It might be white gold. I should brush up on these references, but yeah. The one gripe that most of us have with the 2254 is that the bezel is quite oversized. Seeing the flat bezel looks very good, nicely presented. And yeah, the 2254 is a legend in its own right. I just wish the brand would go back to reintroducing that style again. The mil-spec inspired models. 37.5. 365 sounds great. I got skinny wrist. Oh, you're talking about Calatravas and that's from Graham. Thanks for the chat, Graham. Missing you here. IWC Pilot. Jamie says IWC Pilot. Yes, 100%. If you're after a pilot watch, go for IWC. They make some good stuff. That 43 mil that they introduced. What a cool watch. Really nice. I'm sure most of you, if you've been scouting around the boutiques, have seen it on display. Excellent. They really have nailed it this time around. Done such a good job. And carrying on through to Al saying hypnotic. And God, I don't know how I'm going to keep up with these chats today. I'll try. Keep hitting the whiskey. Support Blue Shirt. Watch and Price says, and Demetrius, welcome to the show, Demetrius. This is the true Demetrius. We had another Demetrius earlier on. I don't know. We're going to have another Demetrius rating soon. Great to have you here, sir. It's coming up to midnight that side of the world where you are, and we love your submissions. And Flip and Zippo, again, thank you. Thank you so much for the chat. Again, please, everyone, consider sending their money to our man Blue Shirt. Thank you so much, Flip and Zippo. Very large bezel with the dial there. So let's carry on. There's another shot he sent in of the watch at an angle. It's obviously autumn where he is in the world. That's what we're going through in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a cool piece. It's a great size too. I think there was mention about 37.5 Calatravas. I believe this doesn't look like 41. This could easily be a 37 mil too. I know they had a mid-size version of this watch, and funny enough, looks like lots of brands are going back to mid-size pieces, which is also a good thing. It's great to make watches a bit more attainable for those of us in the slim-wristed family. Sword hands. Yeah, I mean, what else is wrong with it? It's just so nice. The date window matches the dial. The big triangle at the top. It's obvious where they got their inspiration for this piece. And Yeah, I just wish they brought it back. I really wish they reintroduced it again. Did something. I mean, it's such an easy formula for them to follow. I just believe in the next, similar to that Tudor Marine National watch that I've been harping on about for weeks and months, which is probably only going to happen when I'm like 50 years old, if we're being honest. I think the MOD model is a shoe-in. It's going to happen. Valera is back in the chat. Great to have you here. I think you're probably listening into us. It's all good. And the Chidge, I think I've said hi to you already. Neil, you sent in a watch. I think your email to me was something like, it's been so long since I've sent a watch. And funny enough, Neil was one of the first to ever get a cover photo shot for the show, which is amazing. And that was 30 episodes ago. What are we doing? It's just nuts. Okay, more whiskey in the system. So Valera says they need to reintroduce these Omegas, but the issue is they will be 13 to 14 millimeters thick. Yeah. It's another problem with the coaxials. They tend to make them huge. Okay. Carrying on through. Danny, thank you for this piece. We love chatting about our Seamasters. Those hands could be used to tip a spear in a pinch. Yeah. Amazing. And you don't see these sword hands anymore. I guess the Seamaster Professional comes from the era before AR coating. I think they used AR coating on these. This was in the early 2000s, so maybe it was a time. I don't know. Yeah, the Tudor Marine National that you need to keep dreaming about. That's it, Megan. That is it. Next, we're jumping to our man, David. And there was mention already in the chat about grandfather's watch. This is his grandfather's Elgin from the 50s. And really slick piece. And we have some, what a crazy, I mean, this is the first time I'm looking at it in full screen. We have almost Greek style lettering. The numerals are these like very jagged edges, especially when we look to the 9. Reminds you of that typical motif that we see very often in marble finishes and everything there. I know we have a couple of Greeks in the chat. Maybe you can tell me what the exact term is for this patterning. And then you can just, it's so typical. I mean, the 30s was that time of Deco, and 50s was a reinterpretation of the Deco time. So we notice the square reverso styled case and the step to the lugs on the case. How's that? The actual edges are like jagged and sharp that jut out in places. And there's great three-dimensionality to it too. Isn't it cool to think that this case style hasn't aged very much today? It's still as popular as it was back then. Pretty amazing. So this is called the Elgin Shockmaster. Now, I don't know if you call it Elgin or Elgin, because back in South Africa, there's a place called Elgin. It's well known for its apples. Yeah, getting deep into this. So, yeah, I think it's Elgin, though. Elgin is the name. Reminds me of armor. Yeah, right, it does. Very beautiful, great Elgin. Absolutely love this. It says Forever Autumn. Shockmaster is cool. What a cool name. I love it. You know, some of these brands, Yema's going to bring out the Wristmaster very soon. I've just chatted about the Yachtmaster, which is a brand that you would expect something to be assigned to Omega, not Rolex. I mean, Omega has the Speedmaster, the Seamaster, the Railmaster. What's with the master names? You could go, I mean, you could just, maybe this is like the way of having a successful design. Just attach master to the name of the piece and you're on your way. Great two-tone. It's kind of a tuxedo dial in the way these two colors clash. Yeah, I love it. And the fact that it's his grandfather's watch just adds that dynamic. It's so nice. I love these stories attached to pieces. Getting back into the chat, Shockmaster sounds like a superhero. It does, right? Back in the 50s, did they even have superhero comics back then? I don't think they did. That was more around the 60s when it started coming through. No, the 40s. I don't freaking know. 1940s maybe? Yeah, could have easily been. Also, just I've never seen this little logo before. What is that, a bass clef? Come on, musicians. This looks kind of like a bass clef in a way. Or no, it's a treble clef. It's been a while since I've read music. I can't read music, but you know, reading that little time signature on the side. Okay, carrying on through the Beermaster. The Rick, thank you. Always fun. Oh no, these are great fun. Like the shows are always so much fun. I enjoy them. I enjoy the hell out of them. Superman dates from the 30s. Scott, thank you for that. I did not know that. DC Comics. Isn't it actually supposed to be DC Comics? Doesn't the C and DC stand for... There was this whole thing with the name, which I found funny. So Han's saying, okay, my bro listens to them. And the fact that by seeing them, yeah, I'm never going to... That's just completely different conversation. No, bass clef looks different. I've seen one is it the treble or is it the bass clef that has a little twirly thing to it? I've seen, notable classical musicians handwrite the clefs back in the day, like the Bachs and the Mozarts, and they all had their own style of doing it. And some, of course, the position would be like that and not horizontal. Anyway, getting so deep into the design here. Going to move on. David, thank you. Checking Dear Artifact next. We're jumping to Father Artifact. And if Blue Shirt Buddha is still watching us, we are discussing his dream watch right here. So I love the story about how Bruce got this watch. Was it the beginning of this year or the end of, it was like mid last year, I think, when he got it. He was one of the first in the United States to get the two-tone bluesy, the latest gen, the 6613. I'm gonna take a hit and take a guess what that is. Thomason for the Scotch coffee. Thomason, thank you. Again, I think I've said this like 6 times now. Please consider donating to support our man Blue Shirt at the top of the chat. Thank you so much. This will go towards coffee for sure. I mean, I need it. It's fuel. It really is fuel. Treble clef is similar. Thank you, Dylan. And there it is. So it's the treble clef. G clef, bass clef, treble clef. Looks like none of them. There we go. So Dylan's highlighted it there in the chat for everyone to look at. Detective Comics. That's the one. Oh, you guys are great. It's nice because in more often than not, you guys are helping me think through what I'm trying to say. You give me a bit of clairvoyance, a bit of direction. So we're chatting about our bluesy right here. So what the real difference they made to this watch, it's 41 mils now in size. The dial color changed and they got rid of the gold text on the dial and introduced white. That's the easiest way to see this watch. And when you talk about the most valued watch in the Artifact family, this is Father Artifact's most recent pickup. And I think for his age, I don't know his age, but it's the kind of watch that you get into when you're moving up in years. And it's a bit of a stigma in a way, but there is also like some validity that it's that little symbol of success in the Rolex category. The two-tone sub, especially the bluesy, the blue dial, blue bezel, it's a dream. And of course, these shots coming in from Dear Artifact, we know the resolution is so good. Like we could scan Father Artifact's fingerprints. I mean, we can see every little fleck of skin. It's ridiculous. The quality of these shots. I can't believe it. You get right into that date window. You can see every little speck. So good. It's just so good. Yeah. High res imagery. It just makes these shows so impressive. If you're watching this on a big screen, I think you'll appreciate it more. It's superb. Father Artifact is 60. So this was for your 60th. And I mean, that's the thing. That's the way to cap it off. Such a nice piece. I love that little bit of story. Verstappen takes pole, Dylan says. And it's in Texas, right? The race is in Texas, I think. I saw a brief little like capture of it. And it's a long straight, and then there's a left at the top of the hill. So pole would be the top right. I don't know. It's always the first turn where the proverbial hits the fan. Carrying on. Sorry, been watching 2 live streams. It's okay, Dylan. It's okay. It's all good. So carrying on through. Is Watch Gringa joining us? Watch Gringa, welcome to the show. How am I only just tuning in? Watch Gringa, I'm loving your stuff. I'm loving the videos you're putting out. And I've just told everyone that by wintertime, I'm going to have the face cam and the lighting all sorted out so that I'll actually be on screen and chatting to everyone. But I've really been enjoying your take in the hobby. It's one thing I think really important to mention. You were in part the reason why I decided to go full face cam and all that stuff is the seriousness. We need to get out of the seriousness of this hobby of ours and talk, from the hip and enjoy the fun. I think the issue with the watch collecting hobby a lot of the time is that everyone looks at it as such a serious subject, discussing these things. And is my money safe? And are these watches worth my time? And all this stuff. Where at the end of the day, it should be just a hobby and it should be fun and more engaging. So I like the way that you're injecting fun into this space and making it a lot more entertaining for all of us to just jive in, have a good laugh. Yeah, I love it. Karen on through in the chat. I'm missing. Yeah, I do. I love your stuff, Watching you. Seriously. Kelsowitz. Oh, great having you here, sir. Haven't seen you in freaking ages either. Lasuta CQ. What a great pickup. I hope you're still enjoying it. And Karen on in the chat that I'm missing once again. You should do ID guns. The ID guns coming out again, ladies and gents. I'm going to be wearing long sleeve shirts from now on. I tell you, most recent video, I've had a shirt on, a full sleeve on, because it's just getting too much. It's about the watch, right? It is about the watch. Okay, carrying on through. I love this being the anniversary piece. And then to top this off even more is that Dear Artifact's mother rocking the 36 mil. This is a 36 mil, I think. OP in the British Racing Green. And with Dear Artifact's newborn. Got the full family package right here. So it's this cathartic moment, and I'll keep this on the screen. We want to see the watch, but I'll hold it like this. 36 mil is a great size. I'm so glad that the brand has gone to the full extent of looking at 27s and 41s and 36 and finding those in-betweens. And the racing green is just such a good color. Extremely versatile. I think our man Mark in the chat has one of these too in 41. And I saw a post of his on Instagram today. Such a great piece. I mean, it just ticks the box as being that understated watch. Really works nicely with any kind of clothing that you're rocking. 36 is okay. Great, your artifact. Thanks. And carrying on through in the chat that I'm missing you. Can't hide the rack, ID guns. Oh, Megan, you are the worst. You guys are all the worst. But thank you, everyone. Carrying on through that I'm missing. Can't have guns if you have an 8-inch wrist. I've got skinny wrists. I don't know where this gun thing came from, really. I tell you, it's the camera. I promise you, it's the camera that adds the size. It's nothing else. Anyway, what a cool shot. Another artifact shot. I can just imagine the conversation going on behind the scenes when our man, Dear Artifact's taking the photo. He's telling the family, okay, I want your thumb to be on the side of the lug, and I want your index finger to be at the top of the lug, and don't get any fingerprints on it. Don't smudge it. And just hold it right there, okay? Keep holding it. And then he takes like 60 shots of the same shot and just makes sure everything's good. I can just imagine the debate going on in the family. It can't be a simple thing. It's like the lighting has to be just right. And the quality of these photos, Dear Artifact, you don't need praise. It's just exceptional seeing these. What a cool color. You can really appreciate that this velvet finish reminds you of a pool table in a way, or a billiards table or poker table. I love it. It's such a nice finish. My only gripe with this watch, and I know it's quite contentious, is the double batons at the quarters. I know it's true to what Rolex did in like the 40s and the 50s. They were quite big on having those as the counterbalances, but it's a little bit heavy-handed. Something I loved about that 39 white dial and black dial that they did. Even the previous generations, I think it was the 112-400 or something like that. They were just so clean. And what they did instead was extend the quarter batons. So the length of these were a little bit longer. They weren't doubled up. There was just a bit more length. And that gave it that subtle addition of being something that breaks up the dial. Also love the rounded bezels of these perpetuals. They are just, what a cool shot. Can't not love it. Okay, getting back into the chat. It's going wild, and I'm missing you all here as always. Dear Artifact, you nailed it. That's exactly how the conversation goes. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, right? I do love studying psychology here and there. So the movement mensch, that's a great memory. Have you attached a bad memory to a watch and had to get rid of it? I've been very fortunate. No, I haven't had any issues with watches and memories associated. They've always been good memories. But that's just a part of it. You know, the whole theme of value and experience, the whole theme of value is that experience, right? Value equals experience in a way. Good memories, bad memories. What's that Zeppelin song? Good times, bad times. I love it. It's that thing that culminates, sums up the experience. So this watch, for example, being on Mrs. Mother Artifact's wrist, right? Birth of a grandchild. Bang. Got that story. This watch sums it up. You could engrave the child's name in the clasp. Done deal. It's just so good. What's your opinion on the JLC Master Compressor chronograph? Which one is that? The modern one? I'm trying to think. I know the compressor World Time, which was this monster of a watch. I'd have to look at it a bit more. I don't know which model exactly, Chris. When we do we're going to do another one of these shows where it's not wrist shot week and a bit more open-ended, and I'd like to chat more about questions around there. I missed Showcase in the chat. James, welcome to the show. Yeah, we were chatting about the face reveal the other day. God, it's funny. You guys are just the best. I've just told everyone I'm going to get a webcam sorted out for winter and have me on display. So I'll be chatting to you in the bottom left of the screen as the show's going on. Zeppelin 2. God, I love Zeppelin. I listen to Bonzo's drum tracks. I just love his solo tracks. Just look it up. A lot of them are bootlegs, I think. It's just so good. Everything that they brought in as a group, individually, just made them. That's what made them such a super group. Okay, bluesy is god tier. Yep, it's a goodie. It's a goodie. That's from Samba Basher. Right. I'm sorry that I'm missing you on the chat, people. Please tag me if you want to get my attention. I'm having to like scroll up and down and back and right. Don't blame the watch, Al says. That's a good point. I mean, watches are just accessories, you know? Okay, let's carry on through here to Diego next. Dear Artifacts, thank you. I love this. Diego, I think this is his like one and only in his collection. I can't remember, but he basically worded in the email saying that he had this watch on a mesh way before Bond had his titanium on a mesh. And what a combo. The Seamaster on a mesh is amazing. Actually, I stumbled on, if I just jump back to the 57, I stumbled on this watch on Instagram on a standard shark mesh bracelet, and it looks so good. I've got to do it. I've been telling myself for months that I need to get a shark mesh for this watch. Just off the chain. And getting back to it, another thing to note, ladies and gents, is you get two kinds of shark mesh bracelets. You get the ones like the No Time to Die, where it's this solid steel bar or metal bar that runs across. And then you get the kinds that integrate over the pin. This is, in my opinion, this is the way you do it. If you're going for a shark mesh, you go for exposed pin, you know? That's a scientific term, exposed pin. That's the way you do it. Oh, it's good. It just changes the whole watch. I said in the beginning of the show that I have this fixation on finding the ideal strap for a watch, and this combination just nailed it nicely, very nicely. So your Artifact says, cheers, as always. Thanks for giving the community a place to hang out. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is what I love. I love the community feedback and us chatting. It's good, right? Watch Gringer agrees. It's a freaking cool combo. It really is nice. The next issue is finding a good clasp for these meshes. They're not always the most ideal. Ideally, if you're able to, go looking for the modern Omega Ploprof mesh and clasp, and it'll never let you down. It's a bit heavy, you know, the clasp is a bit chunky and all of that, but you get the micro extension, you get the Omega name on it too, so nice. Bonham triplets are iconic. They are, Dylan. I mean, just can't get enough of it. Just cannot get enough of it. And carrying on through in the chat that I'm missing you by miles. I've never seen anyone keep a shark mesh on a watch for more than a couple of weeks. Yeah, right. Move mesh. Yeah, it's a divisive thing. It's one of those straps that I think everyone needs to experience, but it's not one that everyone falls in love with. Again, I think it's due to the watch. It's down to what watch works best for the combo. Still can't get over how the bluesy and the green OP. Yeah, this live stream is amazing. Best to do these every 3 to 4 weeks, so really worth waiting for. Thank you, Valeria. I do like the delay as well. It definitely refreshes me because I know going into these that it's going to be like a 3.5, 4 hour show. So you gotta keep yourself in check, you know, in between recording clips and editing and stuff. It's good to have a weekend off once or twice. Long is good, Otto says. Words to live by, right? Okay, carrying on through. Dominic next. I love this. Okay, going into the micro brand world. And again, Diego, this combo sings. I love it. Anything on a mesh, especially the exposed mesh, keeping it exposed, it's the way to do it. See, we chat about all sorts of things here. Long is good and keeping it exposed. Moving on to Dominic. This is cool. So he went to Tuscany. I think it was on holiday. I think it was on a bit of a retreat. And he wore a Boulder field watch called the Boulder Venture. This has been a very successful micro brand. Done some great work. I think the olive finish works very nicely with the orange. And I love the fact that it keeps to that. I mean, it's a very Americanized style field watch with the 24-hour inside. The next shot he sent in is the Hero. Get ready for this. We keep it on this for a while. I believe it's titanium. Looking at the metal, it looks titanium-y. Great looking piece, really subtle. But he sent me a loom shot, and it's probably one of the best shots of the show, which I adore. Boulder. Oh, you think Boulder's overrated? Ming says. I haven't been following the brand as it is. They run Miyota movements, I think. As far as a field watch goes, integrated, I just noticed this now that it has what we call the skin diver case and bracelet integration, which is quite nice. I can't imagine what the prices of these are. I am, when it comes to the micro brand world, I've been out of the game for years, like 3-4 years. That Baltic review was the first time I've chatted about micro brands in ages. So it's a Seiko movement. Okay. Love flat dial colors. And carrying on the chat, JJ Lad saying, late, what did I miss? You didn't miss very much. Just an hour and 15 minutes, not that much. I need my end links to meet the case or it'll drive me crazy. Don't worry. You're not the only one, Movement Mensch. Okay, so this is what blew me away. This shot is just so good. It's one of the best shots of the show, I think. It's just the angle, the way the lighting is working, the way you're seeing the loom on display. Oh, it's awesome. The whole argument with that Baltic video was that the micro brand space, we're just seeing climbing more and more. That the effort that's going into designing these and bringing them to market and making them more accessible, all good things. It's just now down to how they are received by the community. I mean, the micro brand in general isn't seen as anything. A lot of us in the community turn up our noses to these because they're either too inspired or homage, as the word mentioned. I think someone said in the comments, which is funny. But then again, you're getting watches that don't have a brief to necessarily follow. And that means that they can be much more creative with their methods and cross-pollinate and integrate things from the 50s and the 40s and chuck it all together. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Such a good arrangement, though. Good Lightroom edit. I don't know if this was done in Lightroom, but it looks amazing. Breitling shark mesh bracelets are made by that's at Starhib in Germany as well. Yeah, good point there, Megan. And I'm missing you again in the chat. I see Thomason saying stock up on the whiskey 4-hour show. I have no idea how long the show is going to be, honestly. How many more? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. We've had worse. We've had way worse to go through, when it comes to like the length of, of people. This will be okay. Okay. So recently got my daughter a Boulder Venture Kenji chai for her 21st. She's in animal welfare. Oh, got it. Really cool how the brand is involved with good causes. Interesting. Very interesting. Kelso was saying, good point. Never know who's over exaggerate. Yeah, don't worry. I exaggerate enough. So I really like this. This loom shot's great. I think the case, I do enjoy how the case has been done on this. Flat bezel case is very subtle and does give you that skin diver vibe. Great facets on the ends. And then the typical field watch format. Most of you probably know that I'm quite the stickler and I love my British field watch designs. I'm not so much of a fan of the 24-hour American scale next to the standard MOD styles that we saw in the World War II Dirty Dozen styles from back then. Still, great machine. Carrying on next, going to move through. JJ Lad saying, sorry for a newbie question, but how does one send in pics? Don't worry, JJ Lad. In the description of this video, the second line, my email is there. Just send it through whenever you like, and it'll be stored and backed up and then shared in the next show. This is what I hate about the way the YouTube community post system works. You end up reaching like 300 people maybe maximum. And yeah, it's just the constant repetition of how do you get the word out for more people to see? And sadly, the community page doesn't do enough when it comes to outreach, because those are always, I always share those and try and explain as much as possible about what to do for the show. But yeah, I said the most ridiculous thing today. I'm going to move to the next watch. Oh, I love this. Dylan, you're up next. Thank you for this, Dominic. Amazing photograph. So Dylan, we know him as 121 click bezel, and he had a Omega Seamaster Professional with the silver dial. It's not everyone's favorite, and he's had it for like over a year. And he told me that in an email, he told me he didn't connect with the watch, and he decided to sell it and decided to go after this Tudor Pelagos. Oh, it's a good watch. It's a really cool watch. It's one of the best. I mean, I don't think we can really argue. It's definitely one of the best that Tudor makes. And this being the second generation, I think they nailed it with this one. It's full I believe it's titanium, right? I think it is. Full titanium. It's got the micro adjust on the clasp. It's a great size. I can imagine, Dylan, your wrist is pretty big, so this watch will work nicely. It's 42 mil. Yeah, it's a monster. And it's just, why is it that brands aren't using flat ceramic bezels on their pieces? A flat ceramic insert looks so nice. But then, of course, you have the money shot when you switch over to the loom. Look at this thing. Just look at this thing. I really think it's worth every penny you're paying in this category. The only gripe I have with this watch, and this is just, preview, don't fail on me, darling. The only gripe I have is this. What would we call this? It's not War and Peace. What's another one? This is like Dante's Divine Comedy. It's a long, long story that you're reading right here. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but God, the loom is just exceptional. I just wish brands didn't go so. I mean, how many lines of text is that? That's 7, 8 lines of text, people. I think it has the most amount. Dante's Inferno. Yeah, yeah. That's one of his. I've been listening to it actually. It's bloody boring. That's the thing. There's 8 lines. So if we're including the crown, that's 9 lines of text. So 1 Tudor Genève. We have Pelagos chronometer, officially certified, rotor self-winding, 5 and Swiss made. It's a long one. It's something to read. You can enjoy it, when you're really bored, I guess. And you have the bezel to turn, and that loom is just exceptional, just exceptional. Yeah, I would recommend just listening to Dante's Inferno and not Divine Comedy, because that's like it's a 3-part book, I think, and it's quite a lengthy one. Abdul, welcome to the show. So you haven't read the Iliad? Oh, Iliad's a goodie. That's Homer, right? Yeah. But I mean, you can just watch the film, even though it's like very different to the actual book. Is it a poem? The Iliad's a poem. I don't. What are we talking about? My friend tried the Black Bay Pelagos in blue, but finds it big for his slender wrist. I mean, that makes sense. It's a thick machine. Just remember that Tudor, when it comes to their cases, the one downside is they're quite slab-sided. They're really thick. And it's a bit unfortunate, but that's just what they do at the moment. I don't know if that'll ever change, but where it does, I mean, look, this one especially with the helium escape valve and all those cool little features, it's quite necessary. I think it just adds to that tool-tastic property of being a titanium machine. Would be perfect with the rose logo and smile for sure. It would be. Don't even get me started. Tudor, if I could just hop in and chat to Tudor about what they could do about retaking the brand on with the rose logo, smiling, self-winding, bringing more gilt dials in, bring us that old school Submariner case back. Okay, carrying on. Another shot from our man Dylan. This is one of his favorite pieces, and we can see he has worn the snot out of it. This is amazing. So this is his Air King. He is a pilot. I think we've said this every single show. He is an instructor, so he does wear these watches flying. And I think when he's working on the engines and stuff, I mean, he's really given this a whack. It's good to see. I like seeing age and wear on watches. Just adds a little bit of quality to them. And don't get it polished. We'll come back. Don't get it polished. Keep it looking used, because it's just one of those things that adds the character to a watch that all the Instagram darling pieces that we see today don't have, really. He's wishing for a reissue of the 39mm Rolex sub. Aluminium bezel, 2 lines of text. Yeah, in our dreams, Valera. I think by that time, we will have flying cars, and the world will be submerged by ocean, in ocean, right? Is that the word? Yeah, I think it'll be a long time. Only just noticed you're still at D. Oh, God. You're right. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I've got to speed this up a little bit. Thank you for keeping me on track. That was from Andreas. This is a really cool setup. So we've got Iron Man standing there. I don't know. Tell me what generation of suit this is, because I think there's like 850 that he has. But look at that shot. Look at the loom. And then you have the obligatory a man and his watch there at the bottom. What a great piece. That's great. It's a real outlier, similar to the Milgauss and many others. Ooh, if you've just joined in now, ladies and gents, Evan's watch coming up next. What a story. This is a great piece. 55 _5. Oh, Nefarion, no, don't. You want me to bust everyone's chops on that again? Okay. Let's do it one more time. I'm sorry, Dylan. It has to happen. The one gripe I have with this watch is that vacant space between the 5 and the triangle. I would flip the image, but I don't know if I'm going to crash. I don't want to crash the page. Okay, there we go. That's fine. Between the 5 and the 55, you see that opening? All they would need to do, because every other numeral on the dial either has a 0 or a 5 to it, just put a 0 before the 5 to close up that gap. But that's it. That's the one gripe I've always had with this watch is that. And I know it's turned off a lot of people to this piece, from this piece. So, it's not for everyone, but it's a goodie. It's a lot of fun. It's similar to that Milgauss that we all know and love. Okay, carrying on through. Beautiful loom shots, by the way. Stunning. Carrying on. Watch Gringo saying, I love the show, but sadly have to go. Don't worry about it. Watch Gringo. It's 11:30. It's Saturday. Early night for a Saturday, I must say. I'm quite unimpressed. Thank you, though, Brittany. Thanks a lot. I love your stuff. Really enjoying your shows. Yeah, I enjoy the fun. Again, the fun factor and the entertainment factor. Just being you, I think, is so important on this platform. What we do as presenters, and it's something that I've definitely grown to learn over the years. So again, Brittany, thank you for joining in. Everyone who is watching, if you're watching in the future or if you're watching right now, check out her page. She's great fun. And yeah, I just love the humor. It's what we need in this hobby so much. Neo's saying this is the ugliest Rolex ever made. I think there are worse. There are worse ones out there, aren't there? Like the cushion case, some of the cushion cases they made back in the day were a mess. Okay, this next one is great. To Evan. This was one of the last submissions, I think, for the show. All right. So this is a Breitling 806. And the story goes, I inherited it from my grandfather. Let's see what else he said. A recreational pilot. It's from 1967, which I believe is the last year before the automatic chronographs came in. He flew a Cessna for all the pilots out there, a Cessna 172, and later in the 1970s bought a Beechcraft Bonanza 180. Beechcraft Bonanza 180. That sounds very 18 plus, don't you think? What a cool, this watch is just so, it's just so good. He'd also mentioned things like condition and the scratch on the plexi and on the case. I mean, don't touch it. Just leave the watch the way it is. It's so good. The lume is fantastic. It's one of my favorite submissions for the show. This caps off valuing the most valuing the most watch. What watch do you value most in a collection? I mean, how can you get better than this? How can you get better than this? Carrying on through. Missing you in the chats, ladies and gents. Mark mentioning Watch Gringo, the most refreshing new channel. Sure is. Sure is. So she says really quickly before going to bed, has anyone ever noticed that this watch kind of looks like a daffodil when the watch is at 6 o'clock? What? A daffodil when the watch is at 6 o'clock? When the hands are, I don't know. I'm not even going to try. The alcohol is well and truly in my system. Take care, Brittany. Thanks for joining in with us. Bonanza isn't a 180. No such plane. Oh God. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like a 180, it just wouldn't make sense in the bedroom, you know? A 180. I mean, how does that work? I don't know. It's carrying on through. Beautiful Breitling. The Leopard Daytona. That's a good contender, Julian. Very good contender. What else? We chat about the ugliest Rolexes ever made. Leopard, yeah, definitely. That's a good one to call. But then again, it has that pizzazz, which some people really like. So this is just an incredible watch. Not just the watch story. The condition is amazing. I think any one of us in this hobby would want to inherit something like this from a grandfather. I absolutely adore it. It's just too good. 806 Navi timer, one of the originals from 67. Right in that time when it was manual wind. It's the original. You know, once again, I love that part. It's the original Navi timer right there. Yeah, for sure. We've missed you, Chris. Is he still here with us? I don't know what a 180 is. You're too young. If you don't know what a 180 is, you're too young. Oh, God. A truly vintage geek watch. It is. It is. Ziraha, I agree. Fully agree. And carrying on, that Leopard dial Rolex takes the cake. Yep, good call there. This is from Frank saying the Navi timer is my grail. I want the reissue. The 806 reissue, I've looked at it like 40 times and I would still add it to the collection if it was possible. It's so good. It's the most overly ridiculous, complicated watch out there, but just amazing. Just such an amazing machine. Okay, and carrying on through, we're going to move on next. What's the thickness of this? Rob, I would imagine, taking everything into consideration, it's probably about 11 mils thick. I would imagine it has a domed crystal. And the case, I mean, it's a manual wind, so the case of this is pretty damn thin. And the crystal would probably add, I don't know, 2 mils on top of it. So yeah, about 11 mils maybe. It won't be excessive at all. This is pretty much bang on for what you want from a Navi timer. I don't even know the size of these. Were these about 40 mils back in the day? Julian's saying, I think he's talking about a boat. Okay, boats, planes, I don't even... Oh, really? I don't know. I don't freaking know. Okay, Evan, this is one of the best submissions for the show. He says this an hour and a half into it. Going to jump through to our man Eric. I don't know if he's still in the chat, if he's still awake or with us, but we are going to be jumping to a completely different machine. And our man Eric loves his dive watches, right? He sent me a photo the other day of, I think it was a Citizen Pro Drive, or so I can never get the names right. This is the Eco Zilla on an orange ISO frame strap. And it looked so aggressive. I said it could double as a landmine. He gave me a good idea about adding that element to the bezel of a watch. But he loves his big dive watch. We know our man Eric pretty well in the chat at this stage. He's spent more of his life in the sea than he has on land. And in this shot, we were chatting about guitars a second ago. He's rocking it on a PRS Custom 22, Paul Reed Smith. And check these pickups. He sweats when he plays. Check these pickups out. Wow. Got to get me in there to help you clean these a bit, Eric. But then the patina's good. We like patina. Yeah, we like our electric guitars here. We've chatted about them at length. It's good. We have fun around here. And then we're jumping to Calatravas and stuff next. The show has been good. I must say, this selection, sometimes you just get these winning formulas of, no one coordinates the watches that they're going to send in, but the variety just keeps getting better and better. Rob saying that Breitling reminded me of the 1990s Breitling Snowbirds watch. I have no idea what that is. Breitling as a brand, I have never followed fully. I do love their originals. I've followed the Top Times, mainly their chronographs, actually. I love their original Super Oceans, but name the guitar, Hans says, yep, that's it. Them most fish. I think I need to start drinking more. I don't know what's going on here. And missing you all in the chat once again, like I do always. Thomason saying hand mine or grenade. Just humor. Yeah, so the way it was like positioned, it had these very serrated edges and it looked like the ideal mine looking watch, right? Front towards enemy. That's what he said to me. It was the best thing. So Valera, now that's a tool watch. It sure is. Eric has tons of these and he loves the snot out of them. Dive watches that actually see real action, right? I mean, he abuses. Another thing to mention is he abuses his watches. He destroyed his Sea Dweller 43 the first week he had it. He scratched the crystal, absolutely destroyed it. He scratched the glass. Carrying on. So Megan's mentioning her wrist shot. She's today, I've been wearing the 5513 Spider Dial. Oh, it's too good. It's just too good. Oh, flipping something. You're the worst, Chris. Thank you. I will drink more. I love it, Eric. We're going to jump across. Also nice to see the ISO frame matching the minute hand. It looks great. Really nice combo. Okay, jumping to our man Watching Finance that we've had featured on the show. I've changed his name around a little bit. He's now Finance Watching, just so that we can get to his pieces a bit earlier on in the presentation. I'm going to hit the Aberfeldy again. Be with you in a moment. Chris saying, I think this will fit under the cuff. No, there's some pieces out there that just aren't made to do that. So it's just great. Cracking watch. Hans, that's one of the best comments of the show. Get it? Spider dial, cracking watch. Yeah, good call there, Hans. You're on point tonight, Hans. So this is a Calatrava. 1, 2, 4, 7. I don't know. No idea. It's based on the 5519. I think that was a reference from the 90s with the fluted bezel. They've taken it back to formula and gone to look. It basically worked through looking at the reference 96 and then pairing it with a fluted bezel combo. And they've brought out a slate gray and they've brought out a handful of other dial finishes. And this, if you're chatting, I don't know if Chris is talking about this perfect strap to go diving with. We're noticing this one. This is what we call Stingray in the biz. It's a Stingray strap on a Calatrava. I must say, our man Watching Finance is not subtle with his pairings. This is pretty heavy. You're rocking like the most like understated dress watch, and you're using a what did I say? Stingray strap on it. Looks good. And then in more direct light, we can look at it a bit better. Ooh, this is good. How did you get the blue to work on the hands? That was lucky. Is that like anti-reflect? I don't know how you managed to get that right. That looks amazing. So the Calatrava, this reference, someone maybe needs to help me. It's like a 512. No. Julian says hobnail bezel. Yep. A double hobnail looks really good. What they've managed to do is like semi-jazz up the watch a bit more next to the 5196. but also make it a bit more subtle with the 5-minute marks being single hobnails instead of the full dial being filled with them. Also going back to old school again with the railroad intersection on the track on the sides there. And I do love the way the running seconds have been done here. Yeah, it's good. You wouldn't really think of it as a Calatrava when you see it first, which is quite nice. I just wish I remembered the reference. I am, especially with these newer pieces, I suck. Nice, unique strap. It sure is, right, Megan? Sure is. It sure is. And carrying on, I see Rick in the chat. Welcome, Rick. Great to have you here, sir. And Valera is saying the dial almost looks like lavender. Yeah, it's a real slate gray. It's I don't know if it's matte or if it is more brushed and finish, but a cool looking piece, stunning example. And he sent in a few more that we can have a look at. What else do we have? I called it annual calendar. Yes, this is an annual. I believe this is one of Patek's first annual calendars that they ever did. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll butcher this reference number 2. I didn't save it. But what made this the landmark was that it's one of the first in the category to have this complication. And you got a power reserve at the top. It's got like a cream dial to it. It's not like a bright white, which is very nice. Well arranged, I think. The balance is on point. And just an awesome combo. You have the quarter Arabics, which space it out nicely. Date complication at the 6. My only gripe I have with Patek as a brand, match your date windows with your dials. It'll save you. But other than that, always a winning combo. They know what they're doing. I'm sure Julian will probably... Doesn't Julian have one of these watches? We featured one of these watches as a cover photo, and I think it was Julian's. Because he sold... I remember it was during the whole Hulk Submariner craze that was going on. Yeah. And he sold it for this. For the dark... I think it was a grey dial model of this. What a joke. You're getting an annual calendar Patek for a Hulk Submariner. I mean, you can't write this stuff. It's just too good. Okay, and getting back in the chat, chatting about cycling and hill climbs and Texas and what else am I missing here? Okay, pearl stingray from Thailand. I mean, that's the way, right, Eric? Eric goes hunting pearl stingrays. I love this one. Both look great. And carrying on, I'm missing you all here in the chat. I'm going to carry on through the conversations happening amongst you, which is great. So I can keep rolling. I also really enjoy the polished alligator strap on this piece. It is superb. Another thing with these, this is obviously a deployant that he's wearing it with. The long arm deployant on Patek straps could be improved. I know they do have a double deployant for the Nautiluses, which are exceptional. One of the first I experienced was a double deployant from them. The single arm can be a bit of a pain, similar to IWC, I think, because you have to actually wear the strap the other way around. It doesn't wear as comfortably on the wrist the other side. So it's a bit of a gripe. I'm just pulling in all the gripes of the show. What else did he share with us? Let's see. Sea Dweller, this being I'm probably not going to remember this reference either, but it's not the James Cameron model. It's the precursor, I think, before it went fading blue. As it's such an optimal diver, I think, when we're going hardcore. I think our man Eric will agree that this is just exceptional. Jamie says, Patek straps are great, costly, but great. I bought a new longer length strap for my 5213. Speaking of which, Jamie, we're going to be getting to yours in a moment. And that's an expensive strap. I can't wait to talk about your world time. What I find just incredible is that because we've done like 30 episodes on the page, we have, if you're one of the originals who have seen this show over the years, we have seen like virtually every watch there is. It's crazy. Like, when it comes to brands and just began the show with a Lange Söhne Merite, and we're going to be looking at world times in a moment, just flippantly, it's just crazy to think that we've been through everything. It's just a mind blow. It's just a mind blow. One day I'm going to make a coffee table book of all the best submissions, give all your names in the bottom of the book and publish like a 500 pager. And it'll be so good just seeing all of these watches on display. Call it like wrist shot. I don't know. Give it a cool name. Let the gripes set us free. That's it, Thomason. Okay. Another hit of the coffee this time, I think. So the Sea Dweller, great piece, absolutely. I have experienced one of these before, and the 44 mil size, it doesn't feel like 44 at all. The one thing that makes it feel big is that thickness of the case. But that original gas escape valve, the way this, what do they call it? The ring lock. That's it. That's another innuendo for you to take in. The ring lock on the inside is, it brings down the size of the dial. So overall, the watch itself doesn't feel anything like 44, which is a really good thing. And just they did a great job with the lugs. They're not fat, they taper nicely, and it has the best clasp in the business. I mean, it's got the full micro extension. It's got just so many little gadgets to it, Hitting the coffee. All my mates have them. Talking about this, Eric, on a NATO. Yeah, I would buy that, no hesitation. It's a goodie. It's a real goodie. I am a huge fan of the first generation 40 mil Sea Dweller. I can't remember the reference off the top of my head. It's a 1116. It's a 11666, I think. 16660. No, that's 5 digits. 11660, something like that. First ceramic bezel of the Sea Dweller that they ever did. Oh, it's good. It's an outstanding piece. In fact, PSA for everyone, don't buy anything that is genuine leather ever. I like that as a brilliant public service announcement from a man flipping zipper. Don't buy anything that says genuine leather. That is the worst thing. What you want to see on the strap is handmade. That's always a much better thing to go by. Never, never genuine leather. I love it. That's at 116. Is it? It's the 666. Now I'm completely confused. Loose Tooth saying 116. That's it. So 116600. I've loved looking at that one. That's an amazing example. And then the 1666. I think that's this one, Truman, that we're looking at now. The references, man, they just go nuts. Comex. Have you seen one? Eric loves his Comexes. Okay, we're going to carry on through. Next up was this watch on wrist. Our man watching finance does quite a bit of traveling. I think he was in Portugal with one of these shots. I can't remember. He gave me a description of a few bits and pieces. Yeah, amazing watch. A really cool piece. And last but not least, the outlier. We love talking about this one. We're going to be looking at a Yachtmaster 2 and a Yachtmaster in the show. This one is just so perplexing. It's kind of like the that Pilot Calatrava we looked at earlier, the travel time, because it's such a Rolex in this zone. It just doesn't feel like anything else that the brand makes. And the decision into making this, I don't know what the process was like and what they were thinking exactly, but it's a regatta timer. And how often do you need to time something for 10 minutes before resetting it? It's a crazy cool complication when it comes down to watchmaking, but just bizarre. Another thing to mention, which I really like, are these pushers. They actually look like piston heads, which is cool. Piston heads. There's another one. We're doing the innuendos all night. I love how they've evacuated these areas here, and it gives it that little bit more depth, three-dimensionality. It's like more work went into making things. Hold on a sec. I'm just noticing too, the top has got 2 slashes and the bottom has 3. So I guess that's like a visual way of confirming what the stop start and what the reset is about. So 1, 2. So you push it twice because you got 2 lines, and then this is for the third push to reset it. Interesting. I don't think that was the intention, but that's the user interface brain of mine thinking through it. Yeah, I like it. It's such a peculiar one though. Marmite. It sure is. It sure is Marmite. And for everyone in the States, vanilla. It's the expression we use this side of the world. Demetrius, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It's coming up to 1 o'clock in the morning outside. It's always great having you here. I want to see that Panerai again and your Explorer and stuff. Please share them next show. Yeah, I love it. Sorry, I draw the line there. They're talking about Abdul saying my favorite is the 1660. Yep, the whole line. It's a goodie. And carrying on through to the chat that I'm missing, as always, Zira says, I respect the Yachtmaster 2, but a few people claim this is the ugliest Rolex currently offered. I can understand that it's not for everyone. I, for one, don't see the congruence that this watch has as a sports watch. Yeah, the difficulty is thinking how they could have done it. If they went more of a Daytona-esque way and didn't have the Yachtmaster name on the bezel and made it too heavy, they could have made a really elegant piece here. It's not like they could go back and start again and think how they could revive. I mean, the original Yachtmaster was basically just a Daytona prototype, and they look so good. Those original Regatta Chronos. The pistons could look like winches on the could be very easily, yes. Also, the Yachtmaster looks good in gold if you're wearing boat attire, living the lifestyle. Yeah, I mean, it stands out well. I agree there. The Yachtmeister. And Demetrius says, great show so far. 145. Yeah, all good, Demetrius. All good. Hit the hay. Didn't see the Laureato Infinity I sent you. Oh, I missed it. Must have missed it. Restraint was the design brief. Yeah, they really went far when it came to restraint. I love it. Great piece. Thank you for this, watching finance. Great pieces as always. And now we're going down to a simpler time where we are looking at the 5-digit reference Polar Explorer. Now, our man Flieger 777 flies Boeing 777s. And he says, I mean, this is the watch he values most because he loves it because of the simplicity, easy to read. The red GMT hand is popped out on the dial, understated and functional. And I mean, you can't argue with that. This is actually the most recent Explorer that I've handled. Yeah, just after the Explorer 39, our man Sam, that we're going to chat about later, his submission was amazing. He also has one of these Explorer 2s, and it's the last generation. This looks to be one of the last. I might be wrong. The 2011 model, I think, was the last of the last, and they had slightly lighter plots for the rings here at the base. And I mean, it's just such a good piece. It's so versatile. If Adrian from Bark and Jack is watching, we got to congratulate him on picking up a 42 mil, the latest model. It's just so good. So good. Jamie saying great pieces, enjoyed those. Yeah, they're goodies. I look forward to chatting about your world time because, funny enough, we have 2 world times on the show, 2 Patek world times. Yeah, we've got a J and we've got an R in one show. How cool is that? Oh, I love it. I love it. Lots to love about the Explorer. Yeah, I agree, Megan. There is. And the more you look at it, I know it's now like a cult classic. We as enthusiasts just dig it for its point of difference next to the standard black dial watches we see so much. But the more you look at it, get it in hand. If you ever manage to get one of these, stupid mouse, I'm trying to get it away from the text. If you ever manage to get one of these in your hand, it just, you connect with it so fast. I mean, the first thing I said, I think after looking at it for about a minute, I just said, yes, this is so good. So I can fully understand why this watch gets the praise it does. Also, similar to the Yachtmaster 2 and the Calatrava, the travel time, it's another one that's very un-Rolex, even though it's pretty identifiable for us. Most in the real world don't know what this watch is. Another really good thing. Flyboy, as Al says, yep, that's it there. And carrying on, I'm sorry that I'm missing you in the chat. So Mezzanine says, Fed called it hideous this week. I think we're chatting about the Yachtmaster 2. Yeah, it's not the most ideal watch that everyone goes after. The gold version of the Yachtmaster 2 is not the most suitable of Rolex offerings. The prices of them also are quite the detractors too, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, awesome example. And then the cool shot that he sent in here was, because he's a pilot, he gets to observe things, and he's whoa, magic mouse. It's always, whenever we do these shows, it's always her time of the month. The most powerful engine ever made, this being, if you know your reference numbers, the GE90-115B. And yeah, I think it was made by Rolls-Royce. I don't know. I'm not even going to try and mistake that. But what a watch. Just a great travel companion. And being a pilot, what's great about his collection is that all his pieces are centered around being GMTs or travel times or something along there. So, yep, it's so crisp. I dig it. I really dig it a lot. Broke the rotor shaft on my Explorer 2. You're kidding. While wearing it back on vacation. Hopefully it comes back from repair. Oh, Abdul. The watch we value most, and then we end up breaking them. That must be a heartache, to say the least. General Electric. Thank you, Eric. And Truman. Oh, I love it. You guys know your stuff. Isn't it great that we have such worldly people watching the show? You can just clear up. General Electric. Thank you, everyone. I said Rolls-Royce. That's so cliche, huh? Yeah, great piece. Really great piece. And let's see, what's a good price range for a Tag Heuer Formula 1 watch? Ray is asking. Anyone in the chat might know. Give him some suggestions. Tag Heuer Formula 1. I'm trying to think. It's not a part of the Carrera line, is it? If it was me going for Tag Heuer, I would always be jumping to the Monaco. I know it's cliche. Either the Monaco, or if you can find a One of my favorite watches is the Jack Hoyer Carrera. Those limited edition pieces, those are great. It's just something about those designs that always win me over. Okay, we're carrying on through. Thank you for this, Flieger 777. Rolls are better, I heard. God, I don't know. So now we're jumping to our man Patrick Ingleby boy. I really like this story. Whoa, now be careful. Don't crash the page. This photo is super high res. Oh, I'm scared. I'm really scared. If I crash the preview page, I'm not going to say that. Touch wood. That doesn't happen. This is such a cool story. Talking about valuing watches that we have in our collections. This is the Chronomat Blackbird. He's worn this watch around the world for 20 years. Okay, that's the long and short of it. But then we get into, if we want to know the reference number, it's the A13350. Yep. And what I liked about this whole story was that he saw it advertised on the front page of the Telegraph and had to have it. I think this was one of the first watches he ever had in the collection too. So it's pretty special and it's just great. I mean, 20 years of experience with a watch. With an watch. Looks good. Really nice watch. Yep. And carrying on to Rick, I think I was chatting amongst each other. Dad was on the A380 when and the Concords. I mean, I'm sure a couple of you must have flown on Concords back in the day. My old man definitely did a few trips. That was a time. That was a real jam. Such a cool piece. Talking about Blackbirds, it's quite fitting. Hey, we're talking about Blackbirds and Concords and A380s and Boeing 777s. These all just line up. This is not done deliberately. These shows just naturally progress. Chatting about planes. SR71. I like that Breitling. It's a goodie. We have featured flawless Breitlings on the show so far. Vintage A386, vintage 806, and this little gem. Yeah, and the fact that it's on a deployant and it's on a rubber strap and just has, it speaks, everything it does speaks Breitling. Even the text on the I don't know why they do this on their rubber straps, but they do. It just works so well. Hitting the drop again. Bezel rider pips. Now that's the whole thing. Eric, good point there. No one, I mean, I never knew that there was actual term for the quarter components to the bezel. I think it's called a bezel rider, as Eric mentions. So Brian's saying the General Electric F101GE 102 turbofan engine with afterburner. I don't even know what's going on. Yeah, and Flippin's also asking, ever find what those quarter knobs are called? And I don't know. I'm sure someone here knows. What are these little quarter gadgets called on these pieces? We see them on we see them on all the chronomats. It's what's defined this watch for years. Come on, Magic Mouse, spin for me. There we go. These little things, these little step things. I really don't know the name, but they make the bezel more turnable, and just a great piece. I love that story. Really nice affiliation. And we're jumping to Jamie next, where we're going to look at an amazing world time, one of our favorites. And carrying on the chat that I'm missing, same speed and height. One pilot, 8 caviar. The other had a catheter. What the catheter? Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but we're getting there. Rider tabs. That's a good call, Ingleby. Is that what they call it? I don't know. I mean, this is your watch. You should know. Called riders. Good. Rider tabs. I like that. I like that name a lot. Okay, carrying on through. Also, the very distinctive thing we see with Breitling pieces is the onion crown, that recessed onion crown style. I don't know what you would call this either. It is definitely an onion crown, but it's also one of Breitling's design DNA. The resolution of this shot. What is going on here? This is the kind of thing that will crash the page. So this was one of the biggest photos that I think I've ever seen. It was like 72 megabytes in size. So just enjoy it while you can, lowrider. Look at the texture and you can see every little knurling, and I love it. It's just too good. Okay, I'm going to be very careful and move away from this now. Ingleby boy, Patrick, thanks for sending this in. I love the story with this piece. R2D2, yep, that's it. Jamie next. Now, Jamie sends in the J world time, the 5231J. And since we're chatting about world times here, what we can do is jump to Russell's world time at the same time, which I think he sent in. I hope he did. 5131. I think it's the same reference now. 5231. What's going on? Okay. So what I loved about how they did this is depending on the material chosen, depending on if it's white gold, rose gold, or yellow gold. So the Grand Faux finishing will be different. Let's see, up close. Where's the best shot to have a look at it? This is great. Okay, I think this is this is the most recent generation of this watch with the large hand. I'm going to have to just recheck my memory on this, but just this is a standout. The Grand Faux enamel world times. Also notice that there's no Patek Philippe on the bezel. That's something because they put it on the dial. Okay, I'm learning something here. I'm learning something. So let's try and make sense of this. I think this is the most idyllic enamel finish on this watch. The way that I'm from Africa, so having Africa there, South America, full America, Europe, it's such a nice presentation. And this is what you see with the J edition. Observatory hand. I'm seeing full stops and all sorts going on in the chat. Thank you. Plan in motion. Enamel is hard. It is. Yep. This is an exceptional model. But what I also like, so our man Russell has told me the story behind his, which is the 5131R, which is the earlier generation, I think. I mean, where do you ever get a place where you can look at two world times simultaneously? I love it. I just love it. He waited 8 years for this piece to be made for him, and Patek Philippe was at the top of the lug, of the bezel, Geneva at the base. Very different combination. You can see the typeface is changed. The case itself, it's got the Rococo lugs to it, and looks a bit more old school. Jumping back to the newer model, this is just too much for my brain to take in. I can't deal. What are we doing right now? And carrying on in the chat that I'm missing here, the newer version. Hold on. 5231 is the newer version from 2019. Okay. 5131 was before. Thanks for that, Jamie. How long did you have to wait for this watch to be made for you? I would love to know that story, because I've heard it's anywhere between like 5 to 10 years of waiting time because of how difficult it is to paint these dials and the backlog of orders for them are so good. It's just, let's have like a compare off between these two models. What do we like? What do I like most about this one? I love the enamel on the dial most, and I love the lugs on this. We jump to Russell's, and I love the typeface on his. And I like the fact that the Patek name is off the dial, actually. I prefer that a bit more because it lets you just, there's so much script on the watch as it is. Yeah, so we got a rose gold and a yellow gold simultaneously. It's just too much. God, it's great. Oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. This is way above my pay grade, to say the least. Bezel bangers, yep. Where's Nomia? I don't know what that is, Julian. Is that like a time zone? I'm finding the text very old world on this watch. Yeah. So we notice here that the text is pretty modern, actually, with the serifs. And judging by Russell's one, it's much more scripted and old school. No, come back. Much more scripted looking. This reminds you of something, that the explorers would probably wear if they were going sailing across the world with, longitude and everything in their back pockets. Yeah, it's great. I haven't looked at all the different time zones and parts of the world that these watches cover, so that might be a bit difficult to do live, but just so good seeing these two side by side and getting a good fix on what they both look like. Just so great. I love it. Jamie, thank you for sending this in. It's just too much. Must be drinking fine scotch at all times when discussing these. Yeah, Aberfeldy 12 would highly recommend. It's a great drop. So Jamie says, I didn't have to wait. I bought it on the grey market. But yesterday, speaking to the Patek AD, she said she has received one of these since it was released in 2019. Yeah, tell you what. Imagine waiting 8 years for a watch to be made for you. That's the essence of patience. I guess the bonus was that Russell got to like explore the factory and meet everyone and stuff as like a part of the handing off process. But that's insane. We've chatting about what valued of watches that we love the most. These are really special. These are grails. Okay, we're going to get back down to earth and discuss a sub for once. I think we will. I think we should. I much prefer the modern version with the Patek on the dial. You do. It's funny. It feels a bit more digestible. I think that's the best way we could say it. When you look at it offhand, it's very easy to understand quickly. I think the issue with Russell's one is it takes a bit more time to fully comprehend, and that could be just down to typeface. Yeah, it actually fits the way the case has been done so well as well. It feels of that time, the rounded lugs, very 30s, you know. Ooh, it's too much to talk about. Okay, let's get back down to earth and look at a date Submariner. Right. So, Jamie, thank you so much for that. This is one of his favorite pieces. I think it's his most valued watch because it is what it is. I mean, we all know this piece pretty well by now. And yeah, should we have a vote in the chat? I'm not going to do the whole poll thing. It might affect the pinned comment, but should we type in J for Jamie's and R for Russell's? What do we prefer, all in all? Oh, I'm a bit divided. I'm going to say I prefer Russell's in this category, actually. I do like. so Hans shares a dog. I like it. Russell, get it? Zipper says G. We're just going nuts. Can't beat a sub. Megan says, "Yep, I agree for sure." J. Okay, looks like Jamie, you're in the lead. Jamie, I think you've won this one. So people prefer the modernity, the modernness of this one. I can understand that. What's funny is that this case, these lugs are much more attuned to Pateks from the 40s all the way to the 60s and onwards. I think we recognize these lugs from the 60s instead. So actually, the case is quite a lot more old school than we would expect. Yeah, it's a goodie. It's a goodie. We are born winners. I love this this enamel dial though. This finishing. This is my most ideal enamel finish on a watch dial, I think. You get basically the full world on display. It's just great. And it's all dependent on what material you choose for the watch. So date sub, you can't go wrong with the sub. And I've had this internal epiphany that this watch will be, Submariner will be the next one on the list, the next big pick. R and J is it's just all happening. If you own one, then you both are winners. Exactly. There's no real winner at the end of the day with a combo like that. They're both world times. They're both highly sought after, and Grand Faux enamel, it's just next world. My island isn't on the dial. It isn't. Okay, hitting the whiskey again, coming back to the real world. I think it's the world map that wins it. Having Africa, Europe, North and South America in one spot, yeah, it's great. So we've chatted about this watch enough. We like, this is a 16610. So it's a hollow end link. So I would imagine this was right at the end of its life because it's not a tritium dial. So I'd imagine it's like early 2000s, just before getting the integrated, probably like 99 or something. Me and my histories of these pieces. Yeah, the modern Submariner is one that I am looking at a lot. So going to have to wait a couple more years and make it a reality. Great piece though. Is that a 16800? No, it's not. Please don't mess me up here. I see gold plots around here. Doesn't that make it a later generation? Oh, don't do this to me. Julian, don't do this to me. You're killing me. You're killing me here. Zipper says a few people who know of Vancouver Island, the better. Yeah. The fewer people who know Vancouver, the better. Any sub is a great watch. It is. It's the foundation. Like watches like the Speedmaster and those that you add to a collection, it's a must-have at this rate. I think it's like Levi's jeans. It's like Fender Stratocaster. It's just something you have. Ray-Ban sunglasses. It's one of those things. You check off the list. Sell the D28. Eric says, not a chance. I have been rebonding with my D28 way too much over the last couple of weeks, Eric. Never. D28 is a Martin acoustic. I got it at the end of last year. It's just a dream. Absolute dream come true. Okay, Javier, love it. Love it so much. Can't ever go wrong with Rolex. The 166 had solid end links. Did it, Julian? Someone needs to help me. I'm of firm belief that this is a 16610 right before, even this might have been an aftermarket bracelet for all we know. It did have hollow end links just before transitioning over to solid, but then it would have a tritium dial if it had hollow. These reference numbers. I'm on the fence right now. Carrying on through to Jeffrey, and this was a good one. Now, speaking as someone in the UK at the moment who's about to go into winter and freezing his nuts off, most of us in Europe are experiencing the same thing. Jeffrey is in the Bahamas, enjoying. This is the Barra Mar Resort. I think the last time I saw water like this was 10 years ago, maybe. Yeah, about 10 years ago. Just too much to take in. I'm guessing pina colada, and don't even know where to start. But what he's wearing is very interesting and actually quite optimal. Megan mentioned in the chat a second ago that the Yachtmaster 2 is the ideal. I'm in Kentucky. That looks better. The says. Megan mentioning that the Yachtmaster looks great if you're wearing the right attire and you're on the yacht and all that stuff. Well, he's wearing one of the most underrated pieces out there, which is it's the rhodium dial, right? The rhodium dial Yachtmaster. I've got to get more water in me. I think I need to open a window or something. I'm running out of oxygen in here. Funny enough, this is the one Yachtmaster I've had most hands-on time with lately, and it's a goodie. It's a really nice watch. The one downside is it's very polished, highly reflective, but great. Give the Strat away. Well, the problem with the Strat, Eric, I'm validating this, is I have spent so many hours refinishing the neck and rewiring it and changing up the hardware. You can't. I've got too much of a connection with it, Hitting the water quick. That's a glamorous sub. Yep. I think that's the way we could best define it, Megan. And my whole argument with this new Yachtmaster Titanium it's going to be happening. I look forward to seeing what the result will be, but it's right under our noses. We've been seeing this watch just not change very much and be the test bed that no one's really looked at. And seeing it now in titanium with a full matte finish, matte dial and everything, it just makes perfect sense. So they've changed up the formula quite a bit. Yeah, this one's really blinged out. The polished lugs and bracelet gives you a different look completely. This is in a more direct face-on connection, and jumping to the watch reflecting light. Yeah, it's a goodie. It's really nice. The size is great. It's also understated, which I like a lot. The polishing is on point. Also, white gold. It's a white gold. No, it's platinum. Platinum bezel. Oh god, I'll never get it right. Platinum bezel, I think. A bit sharty for me. 73 math, welcome. It does stand out quite a bit. I was surprised. I didn't expect it to be so reflective in a sense when you look at the case and everything there. But also think the blue works very nicely. Luke Skywalker should be named. Talking about the baby blue hand. It's a nice name. Is Russell joining us? Oh, Russell, you've missed something pretty fun. Shall I jump back to it quickly before we go ahead? We were just chatting about Jamie's 5231, and we had this full competition comparing his with yours. It was a lot of fun. Something we've never done on the page before. 2 consecutive world times. What is even happening? So carrying on through with the Yachtmaster, getting down to earth. I showed a picture of this Yachtmaster to my wife, and she said the dial is disproportionately small compared to the bezel in the case. Because the flatness of the bezel does make you feel like it's pretty big when it's on. A very good point. I mean, when it's on the steel of the case and bracelet, it does feel a bit larger in size. I think they've nailed the proportions of these pieces. The 42 mil is another example here. The white gold model with the oyster flex. They've done such a good job with getting those proportions right. Okay, and catching the bezel is great. It's a really nice feature. It tones it down a bit more. Understated. Not many people know that it's. I think it's white gold. I'm going to go with white gold. I don't have time to think that deeply about this stuff now at this stage. Been running the show now for over 2 hours, 2 hours and 10 minutes, and yeah, we're doing pretty well for time. This might be a sub 4-hour show for once. Breakfast Club. I don't know what's going on, Hans. Good movie. Very good movie. I love the Yachtmaster, especially the all platinum dial bits. I think this is. Can someone tell me? Can someone just comment P? It's platinum. Okay, thanks, everyone. It's platinum. Got it. Hitting the coffee again. I need it. Saint Peter, thank you for joining us. It's platinum. So platinum on steel works nicely. Yeah, I personally like this model, but my wife's comment gave me some doubts. And I've actually noticed, which is crazy, is that a lot of ladies actually dig this watch compared to so many others. I've actually had a bit of a chat with some friends, and the Submariner and the GMT next to this, they always seem to prefer, I know I'm generalizing a bit, but the ladies that I've chatted to, they prefer the flatness of this bezel to the polished ceramic of the GMT and the Submariner. So yeah, different strokes. Polished center links, scratch magnets for sure, Megan. I mean, that's the one downside. It's the funny thing about this one is that it's the blinged up sub. It's the blinged up diver. It's a bit more dressy, a bit more formal, but also has a functional focus to it. So it's all over the show. All the chords, Eric says. Okay, carrying on through to Juan next. Our man Juan sends in thousands of shots. I think he is the MVP on this page because he has sent in, I would say, at least 50, 60 images in his time. Jeffrey, I hope you're enjoying your time away in the Barra Mar Resort in the Bahamas. Extremely jealous of you right now. Extremely jealous. It's just, it's picturesque coming out of overcast north. So what he sent in this time is a handful of pieces. He loves his vintage Hamiltons. We have chatted about so many of them. I think this is the Ventura, and he's got a guitar case in the background. I have yet to ask him what guitar that is. So if you're catching us on the show, Juan, please tell us what guitar is in the back there. It would be really nice. But I think this is the Ventura. This is similar to the Elvis watch. Beige. Guys are talking about clothes now. Beige shoes and Clarks. I don't know what's going on. But you can buy this for less than a sub on the grey market. Doesn't make sense. That's the thing. I mean, talk about underrated. Yachtmaster still out there. And I think the interest towards the Yachtmaster will increase once we see this titanium model being released. There's going to be a bit more of a pull towards that side of the brand. I hope it's good. I really hope it's a good show. And just overall, great little Hamilton. We've chatted about so many of his pieces in the past. The best thing though, oh no, don't tell me I didn't save. He sent in a shot of the Tiffany dial OP by the swimming pool, and it worked so nicely. I must have copied it out and didn't save it. What have I done? Hold on. That sucks. I must have not saved it. I must have taken it out of the file because it was going to be a cover photo at one stage. But this is the only one that I have of his. It's a great piece. This is the second Oyster Perpetual that we've looked at in the show. First was that green dial. Glasses with elastoplast on the leg. I'm allergic to elastoplast. Fun fact. Is that a vintage Hamilton though? I don't think it is. It might be a modern take. Because we've chatted about all the ones he has the Hamilton Reversos, and this looks too modern to be. But then, have they reissued this case design? I don't know. I really don't know. The subdials and everything it looks pretty modern. So maybe it is a rehash. I'm sure Juan will be able to fill us in on it a bit more at a later stage. I called this a fedora because he had a fedora hat. I think can someone please tell me what hat this is? You guys and all your worldly knowledge will be able to help. It's too big to be a fedora. It looks like a cowboy hat. I'm not even going to try. There's so many styles. I think I actually stumbled on a Gentleman's Gazette clip about hats once, and it was good fun. 57 Chevy. Yeah, God love our cars. Good photo as it reflects the real Tiffany color in real life. Yeah. The shot by the pool was also amazing. You got to see it in more direct light. Panama hats. Got it. Thank you. I was close. Not really. Not even slightly. Thanks. That was from Thomason and Rick and many more. Yusuf mentioning the Hamiltons made in Ecuador. How do you guys know this stuff? It's amazing. And carrying on through. This combo, very subtle blue, which is nice. Baby blue finish, Okay. I'm going to just mute myself for a sec. I've got to clear my throat, and it's time for Fisherman's Friends, I think. I'm so glad that I don't have to cough on air for all of you. Fisherman's Friends time. Got to do it. Got to get the old case. Fisherman's Friend Cherry saved me so many times. It's a legend in its own right. And last from Juan is a phenomenal reverso. Even paired even got the fuchsia of his sleeve involved there. I can't say I've ever seen one of these in real life on a wrist before. Rose gold reverso. I guess I can imagine it's a tribute to something or other. Instablaine 2024 saying busy Saturday, joining late. It's all good having you here, Instablaine. Love chatting about your watch earlier on, and we've cleared it up now. Blaine T is Insta Blaine. Is that the chocolate dial? It sure looks chocolate. I mean, one angle you could say it looks almost rusted, like a tropicalized rusted finish, but this is spectacular. We've had many overlapping hand pictures. It's one of my like pet peeves. It's one of my OCD things. When you're taking a photo of a watch and you've got the overlapping hand, I can't stand it. It kills me. But that's maybe just me. This thing you develop. It's a condition you develop over years of doing this. But just check out that subdial. How nicely done that is. Very old school, Romanesque in the way we have like a railroad track, and we have these solid not italicized, serifed batons running along there. I have never seen this piece. I don't know if it's a limited edition. Yeah, Jamie, overlapping hands just kills me. I think one of your shots was overlapping too. I just losing my mind. Anyway, carrying on. Looks like a tribute watch. Could be Yusuf. I think it is one of those tribute to 1931s or 38s or 42s. They do so many of them. This is the only Reverso, and we're also in the year of the Reverso 90th. Hey, the 90th anniversary this year. It's just so good. That was one of the best watch releases of all time. That model that they brought out that hasn't been shortlisted by GPHG because JLC is not a part of it and all that stuff. John, thank you for the Fisherman's Friend budget. I should also mention again that 2 hours into the show, I've pinned the link to supporting our man Blue Shirt Buddha. I don't know if you're still watching the show, but I've tried my best to repeat myself that please put some time into the page. If you can support him in any way, it'll make such a big difference. He has been going through a lot, and any support will be great for him. So trying to with this out. So Hans with his emoji is saying, "No idea, Doc Baps. Why all the excitement lately for titanium?" Huh. Good point. I don't think we have another one to look at. We don't have any more titanium watches, but that's something. We can chat about that. There's a good point around there we can talk. Doesn't carry JLC on the dial. It doesn't, hey? And this is something that I think Juan really likes because he has vintage Reversos that don't have any brand name affiliation on it either. This is quite a pure but unpure way of doing it, almost like a prototype. Yeah, it's nice. So nice. Juan, thank you. Last week we checked out your deep sea chronograph, which is one of my absolute favorites. And jumping to Kevin next, this is a good one. So we have the Sedna Gold Seamaster 300 professional. Now, what he did with this is again talking about valued watches, replaced the 2254. So we've chatted about the 2254 already, beginning of the show. He owned the 2254 for 20 years, and he's just given to his son. And this is the replacement piece now. He can't get enough. He's been wearing it for a couple of months, and he can't get over how good the gold and black combo works on this piece. So it's a goodie. It's really nice. Hi from Bali. Well, welcome. That's great. So you must be enjoying the weather there too. This is from Nogan. Welcome to the show. And Thomason, all wrist shots compilation book. It's going to happen. It's going to happen one day. I've got everything saved on a hard drive, and we're going to make the most amazing. Just picturing how good it could be. Because this is the second year of doing this, I think. I think Wrist Shot Week beginning of or the end of 2019. So yeah, this has been going around for a while. It's been a long haul. Is there a titanium reverse? So Peter asks. I don't know. Chatting about titanium. What's the interest in it? I bring this forward in the Yachtmaster video that's coming out next week. That it's a much better material than stainless steel. If we think about it, there are three factors that makes it important. I can't do these academic thoughts now 2.5 hours in. I'm gonna lose my mind. It's to do with its lightness, of course. It's to do with its strength v mass as a compound. That's the second one. And third is its corrosion resistance. Come on, wake up. Corrosion resistance is the number one. So when you're working with a dive watch, something that's going to be exposed in sodium chloride for long extents of time, especially, salt water is harsh on any watch. It's actually advised that you wash it under a tap every time you use it. And what's great about it is that it's got the lightness. It's basically just a much more hardcore material next to stainless. The downside is it doesn't polish up anywhere near as nicely. The color is not as vibrant. It's a much darker finish. And depending on how much carbon you include into it and the alloy itself, it changes the whole dynamic of it as a substance. Yeah. And I just saw a comment from Nogan saying, Seamaster 57 Trilogy, my one watch birthday watch. Oh, well, lucky for you, we do have one on display. I am still loving mine. It's my dad's birthday too, 1957. And yeah, so many things. This made this watch just change my whole perspective on the hobby. Good shot there, Nogan. Um, is it Nogan? Sorry, Nogan. I'm going to try and get your name right. It's just such a good piece. I love it. And we do have another one in a moment, I think. We have the most recent version. If I can find where I am at the moment. Sedna, there it is. Rubber strap is a great combo for this. If given the choice, I would be going rubber strap with this watch too. Hypoallergenic, yes, probably like one of the most hypoallergenic metals. Good point there, Jay. Look at the time predictions. So Megan says, "Are we taking bets to finish time?" You guys are so great. I'm glad the guns haven't been mentioned again on the show. This is nice that it's died down a bit. And Hans says 1:30. Oh, you got the seconds on point, and Eric's saying 1:56. Oh, geez. And there was a point about when. So Eric says when T2 oxidizes, it heals, it scratches itself. Titanium, it's a cool. Just look it up on Wikipedia. There's lots of good stuff you can study up about it. Okay, I think we've chatted about this enough. Just thinking about the Seamaster, there are some titanium variants out there. Yeah, I love it. Kevin, all the best and enjoy this piece. I can understand why you like it. In fact, given the choices, I would probably put this as one of the top 3 in my list if I was going after a Seamaster Professional. I think the gold stands out so nicely, great contrast. And you have the versatility of the rubber strap, steel, great balance on the dial, everything there. Now we're jumping to our man, Matthews. And this is also a super high-res image. Please don't let me down, preview. Please don't. This is so, it's so detailed. This, I think, took the cake as being the most high-res image of the show. It's like 100 megabytes or something. I don't even know. Yusuf, don't get me wrong, but how many of you nerds agree that iDguy Live works best in this format? Miss with a winning formula. Oh, you mean talking just about without me on air and stuff? Without me on camera? I don't know what it is. I think it's a bit easier not having to talk as a presenter in this way. It feels a bit more organic. Nice shot there, Yusuf. I really don't know. I can't judge. This is me talking from a personal experience. Shoot, I've missed the gun show. Oh God, here it comes. I like titanium because of the gray matte finish. It's one thing, John, which is really nice, is it's unmistakable when you see it as a surface finish. You know exactly what it is. This Blancpain Le Mans is just great. We have 2 Le Mans on the show. This one being called the Double Time Zone. This was actually the community post for the show. It's from 1999, serial number 8. And it's one of his favorite pieces for obvious reasons. It's just, the Le Mans was I think it was way ahead of its time, actually. Especially the Putin edition, with the date at the base. We're going to be having a look at one later. This one has 2 time zones and a day-night cycle. I mean, Blancpain and their complications, they are a force to be reckoned with. And carrying on through in the chats, the bloody gun show. Send in your, what does Megan say? Send in your photos to me, everyone. Special project I have for going, oh no, don't do this. You're going to put guns on all the photos that everyone, don't do that. Don't put guns on average case on that watch. I really like it. The steps, the way I'll talk about this in a moment. It looks good. Carpet beetles. Here we go. So yeah, I really like it. The way they've done the case, the step case is quite true to classic Blancpain styles. Even the lugs are very true to form. They have like a teardrop. I don't think we have a side profile, but it has like a teardrop form to it. 39 mils in size, so it's actually a really good one. And of course, the thing that we all love to hate or hate to love is the engraved Blancpain on the side of the case, which not many brands do, but Blancpain does. There's literally a Blancpain on every surface. You have it on the side of the case, you have it on the crown, you have it on the dial, and on the case back, and on the clasp. It's just too much. But these are good. Really, I've never seen one of these before. I don't know how many they made. Maybe they only made 100. but it's a nice one. I think the typeface probably divides opinion too. This is way early. This is like 1920s, like true deco styling typeface. Yeah, still good. And Matthews, one of the best shots for the show. This almost became the cover for obvious reasons. It's just world-class photography, to say the least. Let's see. Something says, I forgot his chicken fillets for his ID guns. I don't eat chicken fillets. That's just rude. I love it. Didn't wash his hair last night. That's true, Megan. I will definitely. Yes, that's true. Yeah. I wash my hair like once a week. Fun fact. It's a good way to get those natural oils going. Love the drilled lugs. Gotta love drilled lugs. And I think these are also they use screws on these straps. I don't know. Also sailcloth. I think Blancpain was quite the pioneer in the zone, introducing sailcloth straps on their watches before anyone else did. And yeah, just timeless. There's something about the sailcloth as a material on a watch. I love it. I need to get some more for mine. Another day-night indicator. Yeah, this one doesn't look as ostentatious as many others. Pretty organic. Actually works with the 30s typeface as well. Feels quite deco in the way the sun has been done there. Okay, so we're moving on next. Matthews, thank you. Now a bit more down to earth again. We're jumping to the white birch Grand Seiko. I can't remember the story that he gave behind this piece. If it had to do with a valued watch collection example, but it's just one of these pieces that has taken the community by storm. I think a lot of us have been looking at it just because it's everything you want from the brand. Actually, it doesn't have a massive power reserve on it. It's true to form with Grand Seiko in every respect, from case finishing to the dial texture to balance to the handset. It's just banging. I recommend it for the cover. Oh, talking about, yeah, you did the Blancpain. Yeah, yeah, Russell. I had to bring the Pour la Merite out on first show. So Megan said I ran out of cling film to wrap the chicken fillets. Yeah, I don't eat chicken. I have chicken legs and wings on occasion, but no, my bread and butter are eggs. Actually, do we really need day-night indicator? I mean, that's the thing. I guess for the complication, it makes sense because it's a two time zone thing. And you see that very often actually with these watches, that whenever it is a 2 time zone, so you see the day night added. Not for everyone. Doesn't need to be there, but it's neither here nor there. This is also pretty, I mean, from 99, pretty old movement. So it's good to see this watch get time in the limelight. I wonder if this is a tritium dial or luminova. Back to the white birch. Let's get a shot of it on the wrist. I think I said this is from Mark, if he's in the chat with us, watching along. Yeah, just a great piece. Grand Seiko. Grand Seiko is nailing it. Let's continue to nail it. +1 for Grand Seiko. Yep, woody. And what I love is that if you've ever seen a birch tree, the texture is just spot on. It's exactly what it looks like. Sailcloth, yep. Sailcloth strap. I'm losing it. Sailcloth straps. What did I say? Sailcloth. They do look good. I agree. Bold move by Grand Seiko to get rid of the power indicators on the. Yeah, I think for the better use of. Funny, I read an interview. The new CEO of Seiko is saying that they need to greatly revise their brand. We're actually going to look at some in a moment. Yeah, should we move on to what should we do? We could look at the Paddy. I don't know. We will just now. They're thinking about how they're going to rebrand the brand and start again by looking at making their watches a bit more exciting. I think even the CEO said that their watches are getting very bland. So that's something to pay attention to. Yeah. And carrying on through in the chat. Let's see what else is going on. Looks better without the power reserve. Yeah. I mean, the balance. I just wish there wasn't a GS Grand Seiko layout, but yeah. I've always had this thing. If it was me correcting this watch, I would remove the 12, put the GS at the 12, and it's difficult. Because then what would happen here? Grand Seiko, that would have to go. Yeah, this is the thing. When you restrain it too much, when you take too much off a watch, so everything else goes down the hole. So I don't know what you would have to do. Add automatic to it, maybe. High beat 80. I mean, even 80 hours is unnecessary to have on a watch dial. Crazy. Power reserve at the back, I think Megan was going to mention. Yes. So this is one thing that we like. I think I have said so about 400 times. Sorry, everyone. Apologies. It's been a while since I've done one of these shows. I'm slipping. I'm slipping. Power reserves deserve to be on the back of the watch. Why? Well, it cleans up the front and forces you to look at the back. So it's, flipping hell. I've got to use better words than so. It's a double-edged sword in a way. It's forcing you to actually look at the function of it at the same time cleaning up the most important element, which is the dial of the piece. So yeah, I like it. Sorry, this is going to be a continual thing. The alcohol's in my system, coffee is in my brain. I'm going to say so all the time. Might want to have the word in the GQ department for the QC, quality control. Might want to have a word with the quality department. Oh, of course, but we like the fact that bezels and things don't line up, Eric. I mean, that's the charm, isn't it? And Abdul saying agree, power reserve in the back makes much more sense. It does. That's the one thing that I think so many more brands should do, even if you're a horology brand. As far as I know, Moser takes great pride in doing it with some of theirs. Makes it such a good experience. Rare and attractive, Hans. Oh, bringing back that old one. Rare and attractive. Oh, we need to do another Philips show soon. And GS isn't doing much to improve the look of these dials, getting simple, more standard Seiko. I mean, look, hopefully they're going to do something fresh and revitalized. But again, Grand Seiko is its own thing. They're in their own category. Interesting to know where they're going to go. Seiko especially. If Seiko has anything to say about it, what are they going to do? Remove the words Grand Seiko and move the date window to 6. That's something else they could do, yes. Balance it out better. Les, I haven't said hi to you. Welcome. And Roar of the Tiger. According to research done by the BBC during the 70s, birch is the ideal wood for loudspeaker cabinets. Ooh, rigid but lower in mass. Birch is an amazing... I don't know if you've ever worked with birch ply. Let's go a completely different tangent. As we jump to Neil. Neil was in the chat a second ago. Mark, thank you for this. We're going to have a look at a Synchron Military. A couple of us really love this watch. So I'm trying to remember, he was exploring Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness with the Synchron that I wore on a 2-week canoe expedition last month. I can't remember where the place was. I didn't highlight. Anyone in the world knows where Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness is? Let us know. I think it's not Montana. It's in that neck of the woods. Me in the States, I'm the worst with states. Don't even ask. What I love most of all is this watch is on the right wrist. We love our mil-spec pieces, this being the full PVD model. Synchron being a brand that has, reconnected with the name, because this was an original Doxa design that was basically rebought and being used again, reintegrated. It's a crazy, crazy example. It's a real work watch. Look how there's like this reverse negative space on that tuxedo dial in the middle. Okay, and we catch up with the chat again, talking about birch. Yeah, growing faster. Birch ply is an amazing, amazing wood. It's so easy to work with, especially. It's really high quality. It's a bit more expensive than your standard, pine ply and all that stuff. But birch ply it finishes so beautifully. It's much lighter in weight. It's stronger. It has everything going for it. It really has everything going for it. And Yusuf, you're also sharing a Synchron Military with us, so that's going to be good. Mick in Florida, welcome. It's great. It is great. Northern Minnesota. Thank you, Neil. I was close enough. Not at all, but you've got to give it a good guess. And carrying on through here that I'm missing the chat. Birch also grows faster than oak, more sustainable. It's a great wood. We talk about everything here. It's awesome. Yeah, so this is a real work watch and such an awesome photo too. Let's get that scene. Northern Minnesota in the background. Kayaking, right? Canoeing. Yeah, kayaking's fun. I really miss doing it. I used to do lots of it. I mean, South Africa, you have lots of open spaces to do it. And yeah, it's just getting the kayaks all sorted out and getting out there. Nice shot, really nice shot. Taking a hit from the Machu Picchu coffee in a moment. Megan's saying that never liked the hands of this watch, but it has grown on me. I think, like with so many of these watches through the 70s, it was all function first, fashion never factored in. The one thing that defined all of them was this this cushion case, this turtle-esque cushion case, and everything else was subliminal. I mean, I would imagine someone like Eric would love this piece. He would love this watch. It's just so funky, but it's all for work. I mean, you look to the bezel; it's garish. It's so similar to the mill subs and the MOD CMOS we talk about so much, fully accentuated. There's no breathing room on this dial, which could be a detractor. The fact that everything is highlighted in orange makes it a bit easier to read. It's a machine. It is one hell of a machine. So it's good. I mean, it fits the brief of a 70s dive watch. And I think before even judging the watch by its design, it's also just thinking, okay, where does this situate itself? You can see, I mean, without even a split second, that this is from the 70s. It just does it all. You can call me Mick. Mick in Florida is not good enough. Okay, I'll call you Mick. And top 10 top is a bit of a okay, I'm not even going. Eric and Hans always have this debate between each other. Just wondering if you'll get a chance to show my speedy later in the stream. Oh, Valera, I probably didn't save it. I didn't. If you sent it in, I missed it. I must have missed it. I know you were asking me the question about that 1861, and I missed that email too. I'm bad. I'm really, really bad, as Jackson would say. When it comes to answering emails, saving emails, some or two slip away. Valera, I didn't, but I would love to share it. I promise to share it in the next show if you send me another shot. The bezel is not lined up. OCD out of control. Yeah, it's a problem, huh? It is a problem. We all, I'm going to zoom in on this for Megan to enjoy. She loves it when bezels don't line up at the top. Oh, it's great. It's great. Sometimes we miss these little details. Okay, I've got to carry on through. No worries at all. I'll resend. Thanks, Valera. Again, sorry. I do slip up from time to time, as you can expect. And normally I'm doing this sober at like 3 a.m, and it can get a bit fuzzy. Aligned hour hand's okay, but misaligned bezel I can't do. Yeah. Okay, gonna carry on. So Nicholas next. Now this watch, black base, silver dial, 36. This one is, I wouldn't say the most loved in this category, but the 36 mil Black Bay has done a lot, I think, to be a entry level into the explorer loving category. Everyone seems to really enjoy the size. I think it makes up for even the snowflake hand works nicely with this combo, because you're getting everything here without a rotating bezel on it. You are seeing squares, rectangles, circles, and a triangle. Something a bit more dynamic as far as Bauhaus design principles go. 58 minutes elapsed chatting about the bezel. I don't know. Sleep well, Valera. Are you hitting the hay, Valera? Yeah, all good. I'm probably still going to be rolling for another, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. Nearly perfect size for me, not 32. Just remember, my optimal size is 27. We've said this so many times before. Thanks, Megan. Actually, speaking of which, I'm going to put this link in the corner of the screen for the Tudor Marine Nationale predictions, because this, on the day of the actual release that we all planned and expected, I think it was September 1st, the only watch the Tudor did release was a 32 millimeter of this watch, this exact watch with the silver dial. That's what we got instead of the Marine Nationale Snowflake. So there's something. There is something. Lange has a new release on Monday. Oh no, that's going to be good. And the engine just gleams. I don't know what that quote's from. I was going to keep catching up with the chat. A man walks down the street. He says, "Why am I soft in the middle now?" Question mark. Hans, you guys, thank you so much for sticking with me, everyone. I'm obviously losing it. Yeah, we're talking about sizes. You sure are, Megan. Great looking piece, though. I do love that. I think this has probably been the one gateway drug into the 36 mil category that people don't often talk about. I see many owners who get into the Explorer 39 or 36 saying they started with this watch. So just be warned, Nicholas. This watch could easily be one that takes you down the pathway of getting into the 36 Explorer very, very soon. Thomason saying, I'm waiting to purchase this 41 L36 silver. Really? I don't know. So you're looking forward to looking at the 41 mil. There's some great value for money watches out there. Really are. Love mine nice and thin. Tudor offers so much in their space. They do. I just wish they changed up the hands on their watches and did a bit more with their dials. Just think of the options they have with the 36 mil case. This watch is not ostentatious at all. The lugs are nicely sized. The slab side of the case is not huge. It's a good fitting piece. This being an ETA movement, I think. Clearing my throat again. Hold on a sec. This being a 36mm model, it just does it all. They could do so many cool things. Just bring us out the Ranger. We need the Tudor Ranger again. I'm not even going to harp on that point. Megan loving her two-tone Explorer despite the hate it receives. We all hate the two-tone Explorer. I can't believe I actually spoke about it for so long. It's just abysmal. Why am I soft in the middle when the rest of life is so hard? Paul Simon, great line. Paul Simon, as in Simon and Garfunkel. Ah, like that. Great guitarist. He played a Martin. I think it was the orchestra model. No, maybe Eric can help me there. I'm in love with my car. That's a Simon and Garfunkel tune, I think. Yeah. Two-tone Explorer is a goodie. I want to chat about it more in the future, actually, what it means, because we've just seen the bluesy earlier on in the show. What is the two-tone going to say for the Explorer in a few more years? I think there's something to add to that conversation. Okay, Nicholas, thank you. Jumping to Owl29 next, who is in the chat. This is great. This is an XKX 013. Okay. This is his most valued watch because it's 20 years old. It's a 20-year-old SKX. That's cool. And I think this was the first watch that he bought, so it got him into the hobby and like it. And you can see the watch actually still looks pretty new, which is even more amazing. There's a few scratches around the bezel, around the dial of the crystal, but it just looks so spot on. So it's an OM18. Oh, good. What is the wood they use on the 18s again? It's not Brazilian. It is Brazilian rosewood, isn't it? No. Oh, I used to know this. I'm gonna try and I'm not even gonna try and rack my brains 3 hours into this show. Brazilian rosewood or something along there. OM18 is such a cool. The orchestra model is great. And then you have the double O's, the triple O's, single O's. Martin guitars, ladies and gents. If you want a guitar, do it. Do it for yourself. I think I'll try a Tudor. 2 years later, should I really drop 10, 20 on a Rolex? It's going to happen. Bank on it. Rick, I mean, that's the epitome. And funny enough, this is pretty much this is the gateway watch that everyone gets to get into the next tier, right? So I think Owl, like many of us here, blue strap for blue shirt. I mean, that's great. Hey, that's really great. It's another example of a watch here that gets you into the next phase. So you start with Seiko, you jump to Tudor, and then you jump to Rolex, and so it goes. Or you jump to Omega, and yeah, there's this natural progression. There's a science to it at this rate. There is a science to this. Yeah, I love it. The 013 is also underrated. I think it's gotten much more popular. Just One More Watch. Jody from Just One More Watch favors it over the SKX 007, 009 because of its smaller size. And I think they've just skyrocketed since then. People have been looking at them a lot. And now they don't make these anymore. Now the SKX falls under the Seiko 5 line, which is just hilarious. Why did they do that? Okay, carrying on through. I love this watch. Very, very nice. Very tasteful piece here, Owl29. To Raymond next, and I liked this a lot. Our man Raymond, I think he's based in Cape Town, right? Based in my hometown. He's a watch lover. Typical Seiko fashion. There we go, Megan. I hope you enjoy. Take a good hard look at that. Our man Eric was talking about how these watches don't line up, quality control and everything, but that's the Seiko way. So what was special about this watch? Why does Raymond value this piece so much? Well, first off, it encouraged him to start an Instagram, which is huge. His Instagram handle is SA Watch Bro. I think I'm going to share it because got to help a South African brother. Watch Bro. Oh god, it's completely wrong. There you go, something like that. So it started him along this journey of getting into watch photography, and as you can see, I mean, it's just flawless. It's such a great shot of this piece. The Paddy Prospex is a really nice example too. It's like the epitome of the modern turtle. Got the loom in there as well. Yeah, for sure. And the next was that it was a watch he wore when he proposed to his wife. So, I mean, like, you can't ever get wrong there. And I mean, it just gets further and further. What else did he say? So Yeah, I think this was not only the first watch that he got, but it's a watch that got him into Instagram, and then a watch that he was wearing when he proposed. I mean, like, and it's a Seiko. It's not, we're not talking freaking Patek World Times and stuff like we have. It's just a Seiko turtle, and a really good one. This has to be one of the best Seiko turtles around. I don't even, do they still make these today? I don't know, but I just love it. I think it's a charmer, and we've definitely talked about this watch a lot on the show in the past. Pay another dollar in, Patty. I like that. That's a good little description. Acronyms. It's like fix or repair daily, right? Ford does line up if you're cross-eyed. That's it. I mean, look at that. Oh, we love our bezels. And what I try and do, I mean, Seiko bezels all do the same, is to just try and fiddle it so it's floating there. It doesn't need to click in place, but it just needs to float there and not look out of the way. Just great things done. I mean, this is also, we're chatting about the Synchron. This is a 70s inspired watch. It has the turtle case, also has the accented hand. It's an orangey red. There's some great highlights at the quarters. Sorry, all the plots, the 5-minute marks. Of course, we have the red and blue talking about being a dive watch when it comes to saturation diving and timing your decompressions and all of that there too. I mean, it's good. Generally, tanks last about 20 minutes underwater, I think. So that's another thing to add. It's a Seiko that gets people into this amazing hobby. It is, for sure, Megan. I mean, this is probably next to the SKX. This is definitely like the second most popular in this zone. The Seiko Turtle has converted so many people into this world, and it's dangerous. These are like the most dangerous. Funny enough, we've just chatted about SKX. This was not planned. This just worked out. Just chatted about the SKX, and now getting into the Paddy. These two watches are probably the biggest culprits for why there's so many of us in this hobby at the moment. Abdul saying, we'll head off to bed. Great stream. Pleasure having you here, sir. I sent a couple of shots today in the morning. I'll be sure to feature them beginning of next show, Abdul. Thank you so much for always being a part of these shows. And SPB 143 for me. St. Peter, I've got a video coming out soon. I'm going to record it about my experience with the watch. I love it, but I've never connected with it the way I thought I would. So there's going to be some introspection and all sorts of weird stuff going on there. All right, Raymond, I love it. This is probably the most valuable watch of the show, and we've now been chatting for 2 hours. How long? How many? Almost 3 hours. This is probably the most valued watch of all that we've seen on the show. Now, next up is Sam. He is known as Springs and Wheels on Instagram. And it's because of him that I got to experience the Explorer 39 and so many other cool pieces. And this was his first watch that got him into the space. It's a banging piece. So I'm trying to remember the story because he told me it at length. I think he and his brother went to Germany. So he got this, or it was his dad. He and his dad went to Germany and he picked up this watch. So I think it's a 36 mil, and it's the Mark 15. That's a 15, right? I'm cross-eyed here right now. So this is based on the Mark 11, but I like how the ones and elements have been done here properly. They're not your straight lines that you see on, the Type 20s from back then. You have the accented edges there, like the guttering of a roof. I don't know what you would call it. The one gripe we could have is the date complication being white, but it does match the other components on the dial. And he just loves this watch. I think, after chatting with him, this is the one piece that is just the thing he wears everywhere. It just does it all. And you can see why it works so nicely. 173 Math would love it. It's 38. Don't you have one of these? I'm pretty sure you do, Matt. Yeah, it's just exceptional. It's such a goodie. I've had some hands-on time with it as well. And it just makes sense. I mean, being a lover of the pilot watch of Smith's W10, can see if you like a field watch, this is it. And of course, the typical thing that IWC did with the Mark 11, which made it quite the iconic, was the cut off rectangle edge here of the gladius hand. But just simple things like, you notice, I've seen this, my OCD has gotten so deep today. This is how bad it is. Not only do I critique typeface on dials, watch this. I'm going to find a Submariner and tear the Submariner a new one. Look at the minute hand on this watch. How the arrow goes to the edge of the minute hand. I'm going to ruin your lives forever, everyone. Go to a Submariner. Every single one. cut it off. They cut it off and just have a square at the edge. And I've just been noticing more and more as I look to watch. It's like the Yachtmaster. Like, oh, why cut off the loom plot at the triangle? Why not finish it? Close it off, you know? Oh, it's one of those bugbears that you get when you see how well executed and thought through some of these parts are and how others are neglected. Why can't they just get a full pencil going through there on the hand? So not only do I critique typeface now, I now look to the hands and say, are they big enough? Are they the right length? And does the loom fill the hand correctly? And so it goes. Yep. Thanks for this, Sam. I've just gotten everyone's OCD crazy. It's a cross between a pilot and a field watch. It sure is. Yeah. This is what they were trying to go with, I think. Because I would say the Mark 11 was very much the same thing, Megan. Like, it was very true to being a cross. It was 35 mil pilot watch that had the Flieger characteristics. ID guns blazing, Nefarion, thank you. Julian saying if the date window was black, you wouldn't see it. Yeah, true. That's true. I mean, that's kind of the idea. Having black with the inverted lines, the inverted 19 would look good. I think that's also his complaint, is he wishes that the date window was dark and inverted. But then it would be more difficult to see the date at the same time. You're questioning what Rolex does. Yeah, of course I would, Megan. I mean, that's just me. I'm getting, because when you're spending 5-6K on a watch, you want to know that your hands are fully loomed as much as possible. Yeah, that's great. Marco, welcome. Love the IWC, but dislike that hour hand. Yeah, I've noticed a similar complaint from lots of enthusiasts, actually. This stumpy hour hand it defines this Mark series of these watches, but it's also strange. I don't know why they did it, actually. I think it was a point of difference, something they wanted to introduce to, I think, if anything, break it up and make it more legible, easy to read while you're flying or traveling. More of a at the glance look at the watch. It's a goodie. It's a real goodie. I love it on the strap too. I swear this is a Watch Gecko strap. I think I have this strap. Okay, Sam, love it. You're a legend. I hope you manage to see this replay very soon. And Neo says, why don't you invite Megan to come on? And I just lost that one. Thanks for the super chat, Neo. I don't know where that went. I'm not a fan of the hand, but I love the watch overall. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us are saying the same thing about that square hand. It's the typeface. I mean, just there's so many good things. The way the numerals are done, nicely filled. It's just, there's so much to enjoy. Okay, carrying on through. Sam, thank you. Next to another Seamaster. Oh, here we go. This is from Stephen. And we chatted about the 57 Seamaster, this being the next generation of the Seamaster 300. So the most recent one that just came out with the Panerai style numerals. I have so many gripes with this watch, but I can imagine Stephen probably loves it. I mean, if you do enjoy the Seamaster 300, it has a clear back. They've done lots of good things. I mean, pros and cons. What could we say? I could jump to the 57 again and have a bit of a debate between the two. Should the size of the 3 o'clock loom plot match the date window and read larger than the monolithic? I don't know. We're getting so deep into this now. Always thought it was to ensure the numerals weren't obstructed. That's a good point, Jay. That could easily be the case. Makes a lot of sense as a pilot piece, for sure. And Karen back, chatting about the Lange. Yeah, Marco, it was a goodie. Really was a goodie. So MQA, got your name wrong there. The lumen marries up the minute marks of the hands really well. Balanced design feature. Yeah, so we're talking about the hand not interfering. That is a great point. Not actually interfering with the length, because once we hit to the 10, that hand is so close to overlapping it. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that, everyone. You definitely schooled me in this zone, for sure. Okay, so chatting about this piece, on the leather strap and all that. Yeah, I think Russell and Marco are chatting about their Russell's new Lange. We had a fun time earlier chatting about world times, and Marco, you missed something pretty cool. We had the modern world time next to the previous generation, both Grand Faux enamel. I mean, in one place. This is Russell's world time, the earlier generation. It's just insane. This being the R variant and then the J. So two different finishings on the dial. Just too much to take in. Yeah, so what can I mean, I've critiqued this watch so many times, I think, on the channel already. as a lover and diehard of the 57 Seamaster, I appreciate that they've gone with this watch and that they're still bringing this forward as an option for the 300. I'm just not a fan of the numerals on the dial. I think that's about it. But again, the recessed numerals kind of make sense for that time, the Panerai-esque components. Stephen, I think more than anything, it's one of those pieces that you can truly wear and enjoy. Ceramic bezel, the way they've done the crystal is great. The fact that the bezel insert doesn't have a exposed stainless element. I mean, look at this. The fact that it's actually applied inside. If I go back up to my 57, one thing I really love about this one and the quirks is that this is actually an exposed steel component that's attached to like the outer rehort there. So this is standing proud and moves around the bezel as it rotates. But I think I love the numerals so much on this piece. The numerals around the dial. I can talk about this watch for days. But it's great seeing, again, we chatted about the world times. It's great seeing how different these two watches are. If I get back to it again, they're same but different. Size and proportions, all of that there. Okay, so Stephen, thank you for sharing this in. We're going to be running for a little bit longer. We're coming up to the 3-hour mark, 2 hours 55. We've got a bit more to share. I'd like to know more about your experience with this watch, Stephen. If you'd like to send me an email and we can chat, because I think anyone who gets into this watch will get the gist about why it's such a goodie. They've done the bezel so nicely here. Proud coin edging, polishing at the base, and then the case back is a divisive thing, I think, being a bit elevated, but great watch, bulletproof. Okay, to Simon next. Now, sadly, I think this was a screenshot, but we get a good idea of what this watch is. Just squint your eyes. So, what is he saying here? To celebrate a special birthday. I think it was his 40th or his 50th. He's drinking a Chivas. This is a great, great drop. And one of my favorites from Blancpain, this being the Aqualung, the Putin model. We just had the Limon at one stage, if I can bring that up again. This is called a Limon Aqualung, I think. So we saw this earlier on, this being the double time. And I think at the exact same time that piece was around, we also had this one, which is just a simple large date with quarter Arabics and sword hands, and it's just so good. Sorry about the pixelations, everyone. I think he sent me a thumbnail and tried to correct it by sending a screen grab, but you get the gist of it. So to squint your eyes. Oh, what a watch. This is also like 39 mils in size. These are rarer than hen's teeth today to come across. And I think he just picked up this. So he did just pick up this watch. And I mean, this has to be a valuable watch in the collection. It's so good. The big date, I mean, it's 2 windows. This was ahead of its time. Blancpain being the movement makers they are, this is just a gem, a real, real gem. And carrying on through, Mark is saying, it's amazing. Oh, the guys are still chatting amongst each other. And the chat's quietened down a bit, so that's good. I love the Le Mans, but they are expensive. They really are. They are expensive. It sucks. Would you get this or would you get an Explorer? I mean, if it was me, I would probably be going after one of these instead of the Explorer, given the option, because it's a Blancpain and it's an amazing movement. You got a big date. Love the quarter Arabics and the 12. The typeface is better for me as a lover of the rounded bank pane. Yeah, right. It's a bank pane. Just the typeface on the dial. Blancpain Aqualung. I know you can't see that. You just see pixels, but it's just good. It's just so, so, so good. Fully brushed surfaces. So much to enjoy. Yeah, it's a gem. Also, talking about the hands and the way the loom's filled in, you're just seeing pixels here, but the length of the hands and the way that the loom is filled in, it all takes up the space nicely, easy to read. It's got a hell of a mil-spec feel to it. And this is supposed to be just a casual, everyday wearer, so I like it. The Blancpain Barracuda, yep, Barracuda is amazing as well. But it's just all of these watches are limited, and you can't get them unless you give them a kidney, and that sucks. Okay, Simon, huge congratulations. This is most definitely a valued watch in a collection. It's a gem. We're jumping to another Batgirl. Our man Tarek, this is a cool story. So Tarek has been a part of these shows. Whoa, Magic Mouse. He's been a part of these shows since the beginning. This is great. And he's shared lots of IWCs. He's picked up Moses that he shared with us. And he's just recently I think he picked up a Sky Dweller and picked up the Batgirl. Did I say Batman? Batgirl. And he did mention in the email that this is the one watch that I could live with, and sell everything else, and this is the one watch that would work for me for every occasion. Makes sense. This really makes sense. Matches the emblem. Yeah, it's good, right? It's very good. It's ideal. It's the optimal car for this watch, right? I mean, it's just so nicely paired. And he took some great shots of this watch out by the bridge. I don't know where. I think he's in the States. But just such a cool piece. We had this at the very beginning of the show too. There's so much to enjoy about what this watch has managed to do. I know not everyone's a fan of the Jubilee bracelet, but yeah, I would go as far as GMTs go. I would be going for this any day of the week. Renamed to the Bruce Wayne. Yeah, I know. Everyone's been chatting about how I think our man Jean-Claude Beaver was in the chat earlier. He's just picked up one of these, and he says that once the name is given and it sticks, it has to stay. I think that's like the law. Hey, like when the Kermit, not the Kermit, the Sermit came out. Everyone was saying Starbucks and all this stuff, but it just once the one name sticks properly, it just lives. So with this, as much as we would like to call it the Bruce Wayne because it's the dressier Batman, Batgirl falls in line with the Superman and the Hulks and the superheroes and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a great watch. It really is a great watch. I love the combo. I think the blue and black. One thing, I mean, this was way before anyone even discussed it, but the one thing that always drove me to it was that day-night indication that the bezel does. Blue sky, dark sky for the evening and for the day. Just makes logical sense for a GMT. Name must stay. Great piece, the 57. Nogan says, yeah. 57 Seamaster is a gem. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite dive watches out there. And then we get a better example of this watch in more direct light. Nice angling. Oh, they do it so well. They really do these watches well. Got to get a sub in my life one day soon. These modern pieces especially, we can understand why everyone goes after them, because once you get through all the BS and the double the retail price and all that stuff, they are exceptionally good watches. There's no denying it whatsoever. The build quality, the attention to detail, the fact that these watches are they're bulletproof essentially. Testament to good work and well made. Isn't the Starbucks for the new Summit? I think the name Summit has definitely carried on as a defined name since Kermit was the precursor. Funny enough, we're going to have a look at one in a second, I think. Somewhere. Don't tell me I missed it. I'm sure I had it on the... Hold on. Oh, geez. Oh, it is. Watch and Pray. We'll be getting to you in a sec. Is that Rehort out of alignment? Oh, God. Who does... Oh, no. No, it can't be. The crown. What is going on? That the X is lining up okay, but the crown in the center, don't tell me that. Oh no, that wasn't a Farion. We were chatting about Seiko quality control, and Rolex has had their run-ins with like paint on the GMT hand and noisy rotors and all this stuff. Don't look at this, Tarek. Don't watch this clip. We're not pointing out these things in your watch. Oh God, I love it. Carrying on in the chat that I'm missing you. Pep Girl. That's a good name. I like that. Pepsi Jubilee, Oyster First. Me and Mark have a joke we call it Pep Girl. I like that, actually. Pep Girl, Batgirl. Yeah, I like it too. I mean, Supergirl, I don't think that's ever really stuck. It's always just been called the Pepsi Jubilee. Strange, right? Very strange. Difficult to tell this angle. Yeah, right? Very difficult. Would it be poor taste if Blancpain did a white polka dot dial in collaboration with Wonder Bread? That would look good. Yeah, why not? Why not? That's such an iconic color scheme too. I don't even know when it was introduced. It must have been like the 50s when Wonder Bread came out. Parallax error. Could easily be. Could be refraction from the crystal or some kind of distortion. Who the hell knows? What a cool piece. Okay, Tarek, a gem. Now, Thomason sent in some crazy pieces. Let's start with the Gauss, the Milgauss. We have featured this as a cover photo for a show in the past. And I've loved talking about this watch, just how much of an outlier it is and how it's getting a lot more respect, and how Rolex as a brand will never go this far into the fun side again. We don't think. Everything is getting a lot more regimented. We look to the Batgirl and so many others. This watch, as great as it is, it's also sterile, quotations, because it does everything right. It doesn't go the extra step. They do. I mean, Rolex either goes, at this stage, they either go very sterile with watches like these, or they go way out there with the rainbow Daytonas and all of that. They don't go the Tudor way, where they go like with loom plot colorations and orange lightning bolt hands, and the Milgauss is this last bastion of fun that the brand the brand offers. Try and get one. We're talking about the Batgirl. Oh, like that'll ever happen. Optical illusion could easily be. Love the photo of the million. It's a great shot. This was a cover photo. We had, Thomason sent it in on a green rubber strap with the Rolex box in the background, and it was superb, absolutely flawless. Now, the other pieces he sent in, I don't know if he's still with us, but he sent in Armenian Royal Swiss AWI. It's a manufacturer we're going to chat about in a moment. Another shot of this piece on the wrist. Yeah, Milgauss is a goodie. There's lots of debate whether or not people prefer the white dial or the green, the standard green crystal black dial. There's like 5 generations. I was quite blown away by how it's evolved over time. He's still here. Great. Maybe you can give us a bit more information about this next series of watches that we're going to look at. I know you explained it pretty well in the email, but Thomas and I'm like, I'm 3 hours in and I'm going to start losing it. Still can't believe Panerai teaming up with Razor. What? Yeah, these brand ambassadors and stuff going on at the moment, it's crazy. I've got to catch up and follow what's been going on there. So genuine warmth. What genuine warmth in the Milgauss? You're talking about like radiations and stuff. If this was a radium dial, that would be great. Okay, so I don't find this watch attractive. I can understand that 73 MAF. The Milgauss, especially with the lightning bolt hand, it's way out there compared to what we normally see. And okay, we're gonna carry on now. Next up, let's have a look at the right. So this is not a Franck Muller, but it's inspired by a Franck Muller, and you wanted the dials to have the Swiss logo in the middle. Did you do this yourself? I have to ask. So this is made in Armenia. It's based on the Franck Muller crazy dial, which is quite the icon at this stage. And yeah, it's funny to see where Franck Muller's gone over time. There was a couple of shots you sent in, but you like this whole idea of the Swiss arrangement on the dial. Maybe you can share a bit more about that with us that I can quickly read off because yeah, I'm definitely losing touch here. So you've got 2 of these. Are they like customizers there that do this for you? This kind of finish. This is really interesting. I've never seen it before. It's like someone's taken spray paint to a stencil, and it feels just like it's been a stencil that's been spray painted on the dial. And it's called Royal Swiss. It's a brand based in Armenia that make these pieces. I think you're based there, so it was nice that you got to experience these watches and you have them on hand. So 2 of these shots, Royal Swiss, and I like this one the most. I think I find the gradient to the spray pretty interesting. And catching up in the chat, talking about Mille. I don't know what's going on there. Franck Muller maybe. I like them all. Megan says talking about the Milgauss. It's a goodie. And anyone else in the chat talking about no dates, and Russell loving it. Really, Sally putting a ding in. Oh no, talking about the 5212. Oh no, Mark, is that true? Put a ding in it. So let's get this right. This watch brand is under the Franck Muller group. Okay, the case is supposedly a Franck Muller retired case that was given to AWI. Got you. Okay, got it. So that's it. That's the story behind this piece particular. Pretty great. I mean, these watches were the craze during the 90s, right? Everyone wanted a Franck Muller designed watch. They're still around today. I don't know what the brand's doing. I think they were shortlisted in GPHG this year or something. They do have releases. I should have a look a bit more into the brand, but yeah, I like it. And it looks like Mark is enjoying wine. I don't know what I'll do. I think I'll finish off the Aberfeldy and finish off the coffee too. Great. And again, your photos are superb, by the way, Thomason. Really appreciate it. You give such a long description behind these watches too, which is also nice. And it's the passion. I think as far as most valued watch in the collection, it has to be your Milgauss. It's great. The story behind it and the fact there's this huge chunk taken off the bezel and it's been worn. It's experienced bits and pieces in its life. Okay, are we going to carry on through? I think we do. It's been 3 hours, 10 minutes-ish. Okay, Thomason, thank you for sharing all of this. Jumping to talking watches next. This was the last submission I saved for the show, and we've just been going everywhere today. Parmigiani Tonda GT. This brand, I really like these watches. I know they get a lot of stick, and I mean, their new release of their integrated bracelet models that they brought out this year. There's lots of chat about it, but the Tonda GT also is just a great example. I think he mentioned in the topic about being the most valued watch for him, it's the best to photograph. It's just so dynamic. Parmigiani Fleurier is one of those brands today that probably one of the best value for money in the sport space. They literally make everything in house besides the rubies, I think, if I remember that right as the story. It's so good. Like, you don't hear that very often for a brand. And you can find insanely good deals on these pieces out there. I think what I love about it is that fluting on the bezel. You don't see these anymore. The first watch that comes to mind is the Globemaster, the Omega Globemaster, with the tungsten carbide bezel, which is great. I love this fluted insert. It looks so nice. It just ties it up, feels more old worldly, but then the dial looks modern. And Parmigiani Fleurier, I think they had a great partnership with Zenith. I mean, every brand used El Primero movements back in the day, just modified them, you know. Carrying on through. 73 MAF put a deposit down for a 36 Explorer. That's exciting. No, that's not. That's the earlier gen. Okay. Hold on a sec. I've been collecting Royal Swiss watches for a while now, and the particular Royal watch was my favorite. Both dials were customized with Swiss flags. Thanks for the compliments. A pleasure, Thomason. Really, pleasure. A pleasure. The Tonda 1950 can be had, white gold, platinum micro rotor for 8K. You heard it from Nefarion. That is just too much to take in. I mean, think about it. Just put all that together for a second. The Tonda is great. I think the way Parmigiani's done their case is too very easy to recognize with their stepped out lugs. Something out of the 1950s, we could say, taking a hit from the whiskey. So Frank Mueller retired. Okay. Megan says he's living it up in Thailand, but you could still get some crazy deals. Yeah, crazy complications too. A family friend of a friend was good friends with Frank Mueller. That's how the story goes. And he got a whole handful, and he had like tourbillons and all sorts. I got to see those. This was years ago, but pretty cool. PF is such incredible value. I just cannot get on board with the name. Yeah, because it sounds like a cheese. We chat about Parmigiani cheese and stuff. This is funny. Yeah, good shout there, Marco. But things like that you don't see very often, the way they've done this texture on the inside of the dial, the big date is windowed and framed nicely. The sub-seconds, I like this, that it's not taking up two spaces, that it's doing both at once. So you can track 30 seconds on top of it. The handset is pretty unique to Parmigiani. This is the one handset you see very often. Yeah, it's good. It just photographs so nicely, as he mentions. Talking Watches he's a great channel, actually. I don't know if you follow Talking Watches on the page. Great channel, and his Instagram is insanely good. So would recommend. I think he's fallen mostly in love with the Streamliner Green Dragon. What are we calling that one again? The awesome new Streamliner Central Seconds. And carrying on in the chat, Russell and Mark are chatting about 5711s and dinging their watches. Just the worst. Cellini, talking about Rolex Cellini. Those are also great value for money. Okay, carrying on through. Talking watches, love it. Next up, this has been an insanely good show. I just can't. Should we look at the boxes first? Yeah, let's just look at the boxes first. This is the best. So these are the four most valued pieces belonging to Tony in the chronograph space. We have vintage chronos, and I've got the full name and spec for us to talk about too, all in their original boxes. Oh, it's just so good. This could easily be a 321 caliber, actually. Oh man, look at it. Look at the condition of these things. These are from the 40s. This looks like a Compax. Look at it. Okay, so let's get these four pieces up on display. 18 karat gold Omega from the 1960s. So could easily be. Oh, it's a Lamania. No, hold on. I'll read out the full description. We can chat about it. 18 karat 1960s Omega stainless steel Lamania chronograph from the 40s. That's the black dial. 1948 Breitling, which is third from the left, and a Gold Premier 780. Hold on a sec. Gold Premier 788 chronograph. I think that's the chronograph reference, and a 1940s Universal Genève chronograph. It's so good. I love these vintage chronos. This space and the original boxes too. I mean, Megan's talking about it now. takes you back to the day when the watch was purchased, right? Yeah. So the original boxes, I thought about it before the show started to get out the Omega box that my 57 came in. They are so impressive. Same color and everything, just like the size of a shoebox. It's huge. Um, just brings back that original charm. These might not be the original boxes. These could easily be, just correct for the time period. But it just ties in so much more about the origins of this looks pretty damn original. And I just love seeing how they did these pieces. Again, I will mention that I did a video about the Chronoscope Speedmaster 2 weeks ago, trying to redesign it a little bit, make it feel a bit more period correct. So what would we go for? Given the choices, what watches would we jump on if you could vote? So U for Universal, that's this one. B for Breitling. L for Lemania. O for Omega. That works out well. Oh, which do we go for? The Lemania looks so good. That black dial is just so nice. And just look at the handsets and things. I don't know if I probably have to like zoom into each one individually so you can see it. This could easily be a 321 caliber for this model. Fat lugs. This is something that we saw from the 50s. So this is like, I think you mentioned 19. This could easily be like on the nose 1960. Let's get the vote. So we got Universal, L, Universal. Ooh, Lemania or Breitling. I'm getting confused with the names. LB, L. Looks like the Lemania is getting closely. Ooh, it's so good. So good. And this Lemania, again, I think is from the 40s, no? Yes, 1940s. Oh, you can see it pretty easily. God, so good. What would I go for? It's so difficult. I mean, the Universal, this could easily be a Patek. This is the kind of thing you would expect from Patek around this time with the hobnail. Oh, man, it's difficult. What a cool combo. Let's see the other votes. So we got more L's, Breitlings. So it's close between, it looks like either the Lemania or the Breitling get top tip. This is the same typeface that we would see in all the Type 20s. You notice the typeface looks very similar. Oh, am I saying I said Lemania, right? It looks like, yeah, I think the Lemania wins. It sounds like the Lemania gets top vote. And if it was me, I would probably say Lemania too. I would go Lemania given the choice. Not just under peer pressure. I think this is also a gilt dial, so it's just that added little bit of awesomeness. What a pairing. God, I love it. Tony, this is one way to cap off the show. We have almost kind of sort of finished. We've got a bit more to do. Breitling hands are superb. They are proper sword hands. We'll call them alpha hands. All except the Omega and Flieger chronographs. Yeah, the Omega, it's funny because the Omega looks pretty stale. It actually looks quite generic, which is funny to say. I mean, the case looks pretty meh. The dial is so typical. I mean, you have the alpha arrangements. This is something you saw on the first Omega in space. Hands correspond nicely with the batons. Yeah, we could just chat about these for days. Man. 3-minute marker counters, I think I read. Yeah, I got to carry on. We've been chatting about these for too long. Lemania seems to take the cake. It's too good. Okay, next up, Watch and Pray. The shot now, he's had this watch for a long time, and he says, this is one way to experience a Kermit without owning a Cermit, right? Owning a Cermit without actually owning the Cermit. How cool is this for an optical illusion? I thought it was trick photography, but it is technically, right? You're getting the black dial when it's offset, and you're getting the green dial on display. Now, which would you go for, given the choice? That's the thing to ask. Would you go for the Cermit, seeing it like this, or would you go for the Hulk? Cheers from Panama. Carlos, welcome to the show. So I don't know if you've been with us the whole time, but great having you here. We've been going now for 3 hours and 16, 17-ish minutes. Pretty decent. Cool mirror effect though, right? We've never seen this before. You can see that he wears his watches. His Hulk actually has scratches to it, which is something special. Great. Yeah, I know this watch gets a lot of flack, and I've never been a fan of the bezel on these models, but the dial on the Hulk is something to enjoy. So Hulk for me, neither. Megan says, I mean, there's lots of us out there that I think would never fully appreciate the green on these pieces. Nefarion always goes Hulk. Nefarion is green. He loves it. Interesting, huh? Seeing this two pairing. How you're getting a less direct light on the watch. You're getting a 2-for-1 combo. I don't know. I have this strange sense that the way they went with the ceramic and black dial on the Cermit model, it was more of a cost-cutting exercise than anything. They had to bring out something that was green as an anniversary edition, but next to the awesome dial that this watch has, I don't know. Neither. That's everything Math says. Talk about selling regrets. Yusuf says, rename Hulk into Orc. I love it, Ziraha. Thank you. Thank you. Hulk dials can look almost black in some lights. Yeah, they can. They sure can. Okay, and Neferon, you put your name down for the Palm Ferons, that date just. I think we've actually shown it on the show before. No? Yeah, the Palm Feron date just is a goodie. Carlos says hard choice. I prefer Hulk and Somit lugs. 2 for 1. Okay, so now just before getting to Russell's pieces, he sent in quite a selection. We're going to Yusuf next, and vintage Rolex. I think this is the only true vintage Rolex that we're going to be seeing on the show. 1655 Mark II, or 4, or however many generations they had. It has the lollipop seconds, so you know it's not a Gen 1. And what a story. Gotta love this piece. I mean, I don't know how often, I'd love to actually know, Yusuf, if you're still with us in the chat, would love to know how you got this piece and a little bit of the background to this watch. But he sent it to me on leather. Oh, look at the condition. This watch looks brand spanking new. What? Look at the lugs and the, what? How did you get that right? So, yeah, so he got this watch a while back, and it's just one of those ultimate little collector pieces that not many people know about, that deserves a lot more love and attention. Vintage, yes, it's the original Explorer 2. This is the OG. 1655 is a gem, and this one, I mean, you get these watches beaten the hell out of on the market today, and they're going for such stupid money. This one looks brand spanking new. Everything. The dial looks spotless. Could even be a service dial. It's so good. I can't get over it. It's very seldom that you find these with such clear patina on the dial. And the lugs, I mean, the condition on the lugs, you can see this could have maybe been polished once in its life, but the top of the lugs look very good. It's sharp as underneath, especially on the left side. You can see it's, and the bezel hasn't had a scratch on it. I like it a lot. Distressed leather strap works nicely too. I'd like to know if anyone can help out with the actual generation of this. If you do know if it's a Gen 3 or Gen 8 or however many they made of these. Oh, it's nice. It's very nice. Probably my favorite top 5 watches in my collection. Megan says, yep. Very hard to find. Great original condition with box and papers. Yep. I heard about stories they do this without asking the customers. Oh, of course, yeah, for service dials. It's a plaguing thing in the Rolex space. It's something that just would kill you. You know, you get so distraught that your watch would be serviced and replaced and all these parts. But this one looks super fresh. I don't know how Yusuf managed to get this one, but just amazing. If you managed to get this before all the interest and attention went to it, huge congrats. This is a cornerstone. By completely, I meant the glass and hands dial. Yes, got for a basement bargain price. Oh, due for 80 replacement. So it did get, this got a bit of a service. It's a 1976, completely overhauled by Rolex in 2004. Okay, got you. I'm interested in knowing, is this a tritium dial? Do they still put tritium dials on these watches, or would this be superluminova? So it sounds like this has been serviced. So it has had a complete overhaul. But again, I mean, if you give it to the original maker and they do manage to clean it up well, it looks phenomenal for what it is. Had it on Wrist Shot Week before. Yeah, Megan, you've sent it in. 1655s. They used to feature a lot on the show when this page began, when this whole show began, like 2 years back. Oh, it's good. But unfortunately, condition is polished. Yep. Mark III dial. Thank you for that, Marco. It's small things you can read, like how the crown is set, and it's great though. I would totally wear this watch, even though it's a fully serviced piece. It does in a way give you the assurance that you're dealing with a watch now that's in excellent condition, and you can just have fun wearing it. Why is it bad to be polished? Omar's asking. Well, I mean, technically, as vintage collectors go, you want it to be as brand new as possible. And all these things. I mean, the one thing that just kills the value is that dial replacements. Getting rid of the original tritium dial and hands and everything. That basically halves the watch's price, or even like 3/4 of the price, which is sad. Isn't, unfortunately. 2004 they used dials with superluminova. Got you. Well, there's only knowing what's going to happen now in the next 20 years and how this watch is going to age. In a way, you could say it's yours and it's almost a factory original now that it has been restored. Sad though. Okay, next from Yusuf. What else did he send in? Seiko SPG. He's been rocking this a lot lately. I think this is a great, great example. Power Reserve for all the OCD lovers out there. SPGA 407. And I think such a great way to end off the show with Yusuf, because I think he's been following the channel for a while. He is one of the enthusiasts out there that can get immense satisfaction and appreciation for a watch like this, but at the same time can buy, and we will be seeing Synchron Military, a Vostok Amphibia, all of those pieces as well. It's that broad eclectic taste that I think makes the watch enthusiast today. The fact that you can find love and appreciation for the watch, no matter the price tag, brand name. If you can find the piece that epitomizes its brand and has little factors like dial variations and colors that work for you, yeah, still a beautiful watch to own regardless, as it's one of the most sought after vintage watches in the market. Yeah, as Megan says, it just sucks. I wish it was still underrated, but I mean, that ship has sailed since like 2015. What a cool looking watch. I have never seen this lavender. I don't even know if it's lavender or if it's a blue dial before. It looks so good. And the strap, I don't know if this is factory or not. Great piece. Spring drive Grand Seiko is the way to go. Really cool combo. Yusuf, thank you. You've been awesome. I mean, the email from you was so nice, and I appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it. And the next you sent in was another Synchron Military. Oh, I got it in sideways. Great shot, by the way, if I can get this in frame. Synchron Military with all the texture, all the details. We've had, I mean, how's this for fun? We've had 2 Patek World Times, both Grand Faux enamel, 2 Synchron Militaries, 2 Explorers, right? We've had a Polar, and we've had the original. We've had 2 Seamaster 300s, and then 2 Seamaster Professionals. It just doesn't stop. We've had 2 Yachtmasters, the original, the Gen 1 and the Yachtmaster 2. It's just don't even, these shows, they happen organically. So we've chatted about this watch at length. I do love the strap on this. I really do. Whole restoration conversation is a bit overblown. Yeah, if you have an unwearable vintage watch, it's worth keeping. Yeah, exactly, Marco. Like, I have this feeling now after experiencing a couple of vintage pieces, is that, do you want a beaten up vintage example? I mean, someone like me who's getting kind of OCD with everything today, not just hands, but like typeface on dials and stuff. Would you rather have one that's in spotless condition that you can't look at and say there's anything wrong with it? Or would you rather have one that is in original nick, but the hands are maybe mismatched with the dial because it didn't age properly, or there's a huge chunk out the side of the case that just makes it look weird? Yeah, I like it. Very good point there. It's probably much better just knowing that you have something that is from 76. I mean, it is all original movement. Maybe the parts have been replaced, but you're now wearing a watch that is essentially flawless, and you can now just fully appreciate it for what it probably would have looked like when it was first made. I like that a lot. Very, very good point there. Really good point. Yeah, cool pieces. And then last but not least, we have a Vostok Amphibia. And this thing is just so strange and crazy. I think this is from Ziraha at the very end. Yusuf, thank you for sending those in. Ziraha at the end, before we jump over to Russell and chat about a few pieces in his collection, like we do, the inaugural end of the show. The fairy on my dating profile is very specific. Oh, you have no idea. Yeah, so the Vostok Amphibia is one of these pieces that's so easy to get into, and it's just nuts. It's just so much going on. Do they call this the Komandorsky? I don't know. There's so many examples here, but Vostok is another one of those names that, yeah, I mean, they've got a history. Cosmonaut and the way they travel. Now, I'm trying to remember navigating. He was actually wearing this while navigating. Yeah, that was the full spec. He gave me a long email. This is also one of the last emails I saved, so I probably butchered the description, but he mentioned how easy it was to get one of these watches, and for the price you're paying, you're experiencing an all Russian-made watch. We chat so much about Japanese, Swiss, German. Don't very often chat about Russian pieces. And I mean, it's another rabbit hole to fall down in this hobby. Megan says, always wanted to play with a Vostok. Yeah, right. I think we should all just have like a Vostok craze and just go nuts. Oh, it's called of course. It's called it's the Steve Zissou watch because he wore it in the film. You mentioned that to me. So it's an Anderson film, right? And the Aquatic Life of Steve Zissou. That's a great film. It's just so So nuts. He was wearing the watch in the film, and that's where it's gotten the name. Bill Murray. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Coffee down the hatch one more time. I love that it's an unapologetically aquatic inspired watch. When you see you got the steering, you've got the anchor at the base. It's just nuts. I can't read Russian, but I'm guessing this probably says amphibia, and this says made in the USSR. Maybe maybe someone can help me if anyone knows their Russian a bit better. As long as you love it, enjoy it. That's what matters, as Marco says. Yeah, you're dropping some truths today, Marco. I'm loving it. This is the one thing I try to cover at the beginning of the show, that the value that you get behind a watch at the end of the day, I mean, it's nothing to do with price. It's to do with experience. And if you can find that watch that epitomizes the brand it's linked to, big bonus, big plus. I think some Vostok come in stainless now instead of chrome plated. That's from NATO. Nice name. Chrome plated cases. God, going back in time. So these would be brass cases that have just been chrome plated on top of it. Learning everything every day. Yeah, really. I've got a 30 mil. Oh God, Pobeda Red 12. I love it very much, from Eric. That's his hobby. Made in Russia. Thanks for that, Eric. It's like modding a few Seikos right into something. Yeah, it's G-Shock rabbit hole. Just doesn't stop, Megan. It really doesn't stop. Pot metal. All amphibias are stainless. Got it. Ingleby boy, thank you for that. All right, so we've been running the show now for 3.5 hours, and we're going to cap off by chatting about Russell's collection very quickly before coming to an end. He sent a great description that I've captured of his pieces, which I think will be quite fun to talk through. His first luxury watch in this space, a 34 millimeter Datejust. We all have to start somewhere. And we began the show with his Lange Söhne Merite, which is the cover photo. Just a gem of a watch. I think there's another shot of it here somewhere. I mean, what can you say about that piece in particular? It's just a watchmaking masterclass, to say the least. 73 map, thank you. Again, ladies and gents, I think I've said this about 18 times, but if you can follow the link in the top of this chat, if you're still watching this show, and help support Blue Shirt, greatly appreciated. But I really thank you all for joining in and chatting with all of us here. It's always fun. These shows are always a laugh. Okay, so let's finish off. Made out of iron from the curtain, as the variant says. Oh God. Yeah, I can chat about. Yeah, anyway, let's chat about this quick. So, Datejust. This one is definitely not a looker for everyone to enjoy, but we can definitely catch up and talk about this. So, first ever decent watch, 34 mil Datejust, two-tone purchase, 1995, and still my daily, unfashionably small and two-tone. That's from Russell. It's and he gives a shocking face of this watch, because it's just what I find amazing. I mean, it's from 95 and it looks brand new still. So you look after your stuff. This really looks like it's barely been used, even though it's probably seen some wear. Watch is nearly as old as me. That's just mind blow. Marco, thank you, man. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to getting the whole webcam thing sorted out. Maybe we can have like guests on and have some good banter here and there. Polished twice. Really? Do applied indices mean that this isn't a Buckley? I have no friggin' idea. I don't know what you would call it. A Buckley, like baton insert, no idea. Move on to the next one, though. What does he say? What's the next piece? First high-end watch ever bought was the Freak. This is so good. I think all of us, not the chrono. Hold on a sec. Here it is. Now, if I remember right, Russell and I chatted about how he started collecting, and he got into Ulysse Nardin heavily. Like he got 10 or something. And then one night just decided to sell them all. But he did keep a few. And this being the white gold Ulysse Nardin Freak, I think it's one of the first. All of us love a good Freak. So let's see what he says. First ever serial produced, uses silicone, 40th birthday present to myself, 42 mil Freak white gold. Mine is within the first 10 made. It's just so great. This is a crazy monster. I mean, look at the bottle cap bezel. The way the whole movement is integrated into that hand is what makes it so bizarre. Eric is hitting the hay. Good on you, Eric. It's only 1:30 in the morning. Oh, it's awesome. Guests on would be sweet, but beware the stream does drift off topic. Trust me. I mean, we're talking about drifting off topics, Marco. We chat about guitars and cars and rock bands, and it doesn't ever stop. I mean, the shows they always segue. Kept 3 in the collection. A servicing nightmare, apparently, Jay says. Freaky. Yep, it sure is. Let's get right into the dial and have a look at it quickly. Magic Mouse. blued screws. I mean, it's always a feat of engineering when you see that everything's in line, So that's your minute hand that runs on a rail. I mean, this gear is actually connected to the rail that it follows. And there's your hour hand that's connected to the underside rail that I think, hold on a second, am I getting that right? Maybe not. This whole segment here rotates too, which controls, I think, the hour hand in its rotation. It's just a crazy monster. I also think the colorway is great. Yeah, for sure. Gears and craziness. Next up, we have first Patek. Oh, God. 80-year weight. I'm guessing it's going to be the 5-1. Yeah. So it's first Patek. This is the next step when you jump into the craziness of this hobby. The Grand Faux enamel, 80-year weight for this piece. And I mean, we're talking about valued watches. This is like in a different category altogether. Not so much about the value that you get from the prices of these things, but it's the value of the next stage in collecting and how far it goes. Let's see what he says here. 80-year weight collected in Geneva as a 50th present to myself. World time, Cloisonne dial. You can never go wrong with this piece. We've chatted about this way too much, the show. This is the grail. This is an achievement. And this is a goodie. The next one is another Ulysse Nardin, which is at the Marine. I like this watch a lot. This brand cut its teeth creating marine chronometers back in the day. And for this huge anniversary, they decided to reintegrate it and come up with the 1846. Let's see what the description is. My rarest piece, only 3 made. I love it at 38.5 mils, white enamel dial, 200-meter water resistance in platinum. You can dress it up with a black alligator for smart, somber occasion, bracelet for sports. The blue is great for summer nautical look on leather. It has unfortunately been my go-to funeral watch. Oof, understated and smart. Yeah, I mean, it's subtle and it's the truest marine chronometer that you can really get behind. I think it sums it up nicely. Patiently waiting for the Lange. Oh, God. I'm missing you in the chat again. Sorry, everyone. I see Golden Eye from Owl. Roar of the Tiger. K3UN. Talking about service nightmares and everything there. Okay, carrying on through. I love the enamel dials are just the way to go. Next up is the, how many did I save? Zeitwerk Phantom. Okay. Let's get to the heavy stuff. So the next up is the Zeitwerk Phantom, which we have shared so many times on the show, but this, we talk about valued watches in the collection. Yeah. It's nice that I've been able to cover the Pour Le Merite in the beginning. That was something special. This one too, like the Lumen, I don't think we have the Lumen chrono on display. It took 6 months to convince the owner to sell it. In the end, I pay him to fly with it from California. What? Simply like nothing else. Stunning. Hold on a sec. I missed it. Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Zeitwerk. We've featured this so many. I think this is probably the most featured watch on the show ever. Like, we've seen this watch in the daylight, video, everything. It's got it covered. Yeah, it's something else. And I do like how they've given it this old worldly effect. The Zeitwerk is quite a divisive one. It looks like a grandfather clock, for being honest. It has this old world style to it, but then the Lumen just adds that dynamic of what? How does it make sense in this? Crazy cool combo. There's an unboxing video of this watch on the platform somewhere. And it's amazing. The first wind to this piece takes so much time and energy to get everything working. But the balance is on point and you're just enjoying the jump. Of course, whenever it jumps to 12 or 1, you see that just the mechanics. It's the most complicated piece that Lange makes, even today, I think. Maybe someone can help me. Oh, Marcello, arriving late. It's okay. A day of welding. What are you welding? Tell me. Are we talking MIG welding, TIG welding? What's the got? Let me know. Yeah, Glasuta has a distinctive face, for sure. We have featured this so many times, and it's also, of course, he sent in a movement shot of this thing. It's just so good. It's just too good. Yeah, I think between everything that Russell has sent us in the past, this has been the most featured watch on the show. Pretty much. I think this is the one. I mean, what else have we shared from him often? The Odysseus is pretty common. The Lumen Chrono, the Datograph Lumen is also another one we've shared a lot. And isn't it funny how we just say this offhand and while we're talking? Like, back in the day, this show has been going on for over 30 episodes, and we've seen all of this and more. It's just blows me away. So, of course, what makes these special is that the engraver, one-hand engraver that does each one of these pieces, so they can distinctify. I'm going to use that word, distinctify between each one, so you can easily know who's doing the engraving. It's very interesting. And the most amount of movements. I don't think it has a fusée and chain. Maybe Russell can tell me. We're going to chat about the Pour le Merite at the very end. What else do we have? I think. Oh, and if of course, we can't leave out the 5370. What are we doing? 5370 Rattrapant is so good. I actually believe this is probably the most common watch that we've shared on the page from you, Russell. It's just a grail. I think what I love so much about this watch, even before referring to the show notes, what I find so amazing, even if you hate the brand Patek, if you're not a fan, if you're not someone who loves the dressiness of watches and all of that, this is so utilitarian focused for what it is, being a flyback chrono. It's great. So let's chat about it quickly. It's platinum, of course, 370p. Amazing black enamel dial, as dark as Satan's basement. Amazing case, double assembled movement to die for. My only Patek where Thierry Stern had to personally approve my allocation. God. Yeah, these stories. You talk about the value that the watch gives you. It's the experience on top of it. We talk about that very often. This is another example here where it's just so much to take in. And he had to share a movement. Oh, God. We had a lot of fun one episode. It must have been like episode 27 or episode 25 when Russell sent in 2 direct comparison shots between the 5370 and the datograph. And we can see how different they are working together. What I find amazing when we look to Swiss next to German, the only watch in this category that I've handled is a datograph. And you notice that the datograph has stronger bridges and much more solid springs and everything that balance it out, next to the Swiss approach, which is much more fine finesse, So on one hand, it's like talking Ferrari versus Porsche in a way, where the Porsche is much more solidly built, more durable, than next to this, which is much more elegant, but more elaborate, which is what the Ferrari would be more known for. It's just so good. I mean, what can you say? It's a network. 34 joules. The quality of this photograph is just stunning. And Thomas is joining us. Thomas, I really hope you've been getting some rest. Thank you so much. And to everyone, a good shout out. Yeah, for everyone who's been supporting the campaign. I haven't checked on the GoFundMe at the moment, but I think I will. I'll hop in eventually and have a look as the show is going on, but it's so good. The fact that over the last few weeks, everyone has managed to raise 15 grand for our man Bruce, I think is so commendable. And I mean, Thomas, you were at the center of it all. So huge respect to you and everyone else who've been a part of this process. I really hope it makes a small dent and helps our man. I don't know if Bruce has been watching the show, but all you can do is help. Any little bit of support makes a big difference. And carrying on through, great show as usual. Our Father Artifact, if you're still with us, you've been here the whole time, the entire show. What else do we have to talk about? Oh, the Pour le Merite. Should we get back to it now that we've come to the end of the show? I think we could. Let's chat about it one more time before we end off. Pour le Merite, I mean, we do have a couple of French speakers in the chat. Pour le Merite meaning... what is it? Of honor, right? Of merit, Order of Merit, right? It's the French Order of Merit. Pour le Merite from 94, perfect size, 38.5, 998 parts, possibly the most important wristwatch of the last 40 years. Now, I need to try and get a shot of the case back. I'm sure you sent me a shot of the case back that I'm missing here. Let's have a look. Here we go. Pour le Merite on the wrist and the movement. Right. Now we can get a good look at what makes this watch special. So again, the most important thing that you need to know about this watch, it was built... I mean, the Lange 1 got its origins, I think 95 was the first year of the Lange 1. And 94, this was right before Lange had its resurgence, and it required like 12 different watchmakers to throw together. And he did give me a description. So people who contributed, Walter Lange, Blumenlein, Renaud, I'm going to get these names wrong, Pappy, Grubel, Forsey, Stringler, botched his name, and the Gronefeld brothers. Just a few names who were involved in coming up with this complication. It's a fusée and chain, so it's a constant force, and I think you can see it. Hold on a sec if I get the mouse. There is the chain that runs along here. It's just so elaborate. It's just so unnecessarily elaborate. But this watch hallmarks the origins of the modern Lange brand as it is now. That's what makes it so important. So this is like the ultra nerd watch. You have to be so directed to owning Lange as a brand to understand the significance. You don't see finishing like this on bridges anymore. This is like the old-fashioned way of how they did it, right? Something you would see on pocket watches, of course, a hand-engraved bridge. But it's just a real charmer of a piece. I'm really glad to feature it on the cover. And that's a 36-hour power reserve, meaning that you get to wind it virtually every day. And this hand is animated. You know, you see it going down over the course of a day. But what I also like is that it's not in your face and elaborate and too much to take in at once. Something that I think Lange has been defined as now is that understated brand that managed to ride under the radar with the way they do their designs. Getting back into the chat, almost finished the show, don't worry. Yeah, it's a cut above. It's just too much to take in. I do love the point that Russell mentioned that they realized that rubies wouldn't cut it for the tourbillon, so they'd have to put 2 diamonds on either end to balance out the tourbillon. Yeah, it's a strange thing. I don't know the full repercussions of what this watch and this movement made as far as the industry goes. But what it did do is influence a lot of watchmakers to get involved in the project. And you know, in a way, it's kind of like the new Murray T50 that's coming out. It's that hoorah, and pretty much established the way we see tourbillons today. Maybe if I'm right. Stop works on the sec. Of course, it's 0 seconds. Yeah. So what it does is it resets. Once it runs out, it'll reset to the center, the seconds hand, which means that you can set the time and run the watch again and not have to worry about waiting for the seconds hand to catch up. It's all that crazy stuff that this watch does. So again, just to repeat, when the watch runs out of power, that seconds hand on the left will reset to 0. So it means that you can set the time a lot easier. And catching up, Fuse and Chain, yeah, it's just too much, as Marco mentions. Always wonders why diamonds aren't centered in the minute track. Hold on a second, am I reading this right? I don't know. Dinging would seriously hurt. I mean, Russell, yeah, put some marks on this piece. You know, take it hiking with you. Oh, it's just too much. But I still like that they haven't deviated away from this formula now. The 1815 arrangement that we know still epitomizes what this watch is like today. Yeah, it's just too much, man. What a cool show. I really didn't expect it to be so outstanding, but we've seen a lot, as we normally do, over the 3 hours. It gets better and better. Man, it's great. Hopefully one day I'll be able to own a Lange one. Marcello, yeah, don't we all think it's a great watch? I don't know if anyone out there has experienced it, but it is just a superb piece too. Big turb, that sure is. I think dinging any watch seriously hurts. It does, but it adds character. You've got to add some character to your watch. But this is a crowning achievement, Russell. I'm so glad that we were able to highlight this particular watch on the show because we've been back and forth chatting about this whole the fact that this watch couldn't move from where it was based in Switzerland and you had to wait over a year for it. And it was just time and time. I really hope you get some good wear time with this piece now, especially. Ingleby, that T50, that Murray T50 is just, I've been following the documentary. Gordon Murray, born in South Africa, got to cover that. Born in South Africa, what a designer. Even the screws line up, right? Even the screws line up. They're offset, but they do line up. It's a gem. Okay, I'm going to cap off the show now. We have gone to great lengths to cover all of this, and it's a dream. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can just get the screen share. Another cool thing I've learned, check this out. There is a way, I don't know if this will show up on your side, but StreamYard has just offered this thing where you can have your avatar in the bottom left corner of the screen. So you can see as I'm talking, I've got this little ID. So when I get the camera all sorted up and lighting, and you'll have me at the bottom there and it'll be out of the way so we can still do the presentations. And big ups, StreamYard. You did a great job there. Okay, stop the screen share. Thank you, as always, ladies and gents. It's been 32 episodes and still going strong. I love the breaks in between running these things because we can breathe a little bit more, makes it a bit more exciting, and it's a bit more energy going into these presentations. But ladies and gents, to all of you out there, I'm sorry that I've been missing you in the chat. I haven't been, we can all see the sips of water, right? And the whiskey and right? I would settle for a Saxonia Moon Phase. Those are also just so the fan car. Yeah, Gordon Murray. Incredible show. My pleasure, Mark. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for being here. And we had a drop in from Showcase and Watch Gringer and Marco, and so many more of you here have been a part of the show. Last time I'll say, please, everyone, if you can donate to Blue Shirts, mean a lot. It would really, really mean a lot if you could help support him and what he's been going through at the moment. Any small donation, $5, whatever you can spare. I think every little bit helps with everything that we do in this hobby. And for what he's been experiencing, he's had a torrid time, to say the least. Yeah. And thank you, Russell. Jeez, thank you so much, man. We're going to catch up again this week. I know I'm the worst at responding to messages. Don't worry. Everyone who does send me messages, it's not just everyone in the emails. It's close friends that I also can't reply to fast enough. So, Russell, thank you. Marco, as always. Yeah. You gents, you guys are great. Everyone, please take care. It's Sunday now, right? Sunday at this side of the world. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're moving into winter in the Northern Hemisphere, so keep enjoying your watches. I'm going to keep thinking through presentations and new videos and ideas and keep on rolling. And for all of you who've sent in your pieces for the show, I love it. These shows wouldn't exist without watches to present, and the variety that a community can share is always so special. It's one of these things I love, is the roulette wheel of what we share in the hobby. Yeah, it's always good. So I hope there was something in this talk about the value of the watch that we have. What do we value about it most? Maybe you can leave a comment or something at the end about what made it special. Okay, going to cap it off. Ladies and gents, thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. See you in the next one. Yachtmaster Titanium next week. Cheers for now.